We did get that.
Did you?
It was, we just slid it
Close,
under.
huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does it get passed down? No. I guess I'm going out to make it. Yeah.
Hey, could you introduce me to this guy?
This guy here? Look at this. How are you?
Good, man. You finally sync up?
You decided to Gina?
Oh, yeah. No, I work stuff. So.
This one, everybody did. You know?
That's great. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was looking.
It went well, though.
Better than we expected.
Yeah. See the mayor? Oh, here she is. Talking right there.
So I will give her that. That's what mom. That's fine. Just let me know. I don't need this much. I'll stick it everywhere.
You know? Just on general principle.
July, what is it, 5:05?
Yeah, I do, unfortunately.
5:10.
And 6:05. We'll call the meeting to order of the City of Atwater City Council, December 10th, 2014, at 6:09. I do apologize for our late starting. We had a long closed session. With that, would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Jeff Rivera. Please remain standing for the invocation.
America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God of all, however we see you and by whatever name we call you, May we, as an assembled body, recognize your divine presence, not only in this place, but in each other. We express our gratitude for the blessings you have given our city leaders, and we ask for those continued blessings of wisdom, guidance, and knowledge be upon those who will take their newly elected positions. May our differences be a positive force from which is provided the dialogue and decisions that are for the best welfare of the city of Atwater. We ask your blessings upon this meeting and all who are in attendance here, in the name of the one who loves us all. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Roll call.
Bergman,
Here.
Mooneyham,
Here.
Jeff Rivero,
Here.
Joe Rivero,
Here.
Fall.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Mayor or city attorneys report out from closed session. City Attorney Terpstra.
Yes, to advise the public, the council did meet in closed session prior to tonight's meeting. The council gave direction to staff on several items, but council did take action to resolve a pending Public Utilities Commission matter with Meadowbrook Water Company. The terms and so of that agreement will be disclosed at a subsequent meeting, and the mayor was directed to authorize settlement of that matter. Council also took action to make certain reportings to the Securities and Exchange Commission involving bonds issued by the city in 2008. And those will also be made public at a later date. Thank you.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda as posted or amended. Is there any council persons who wish to remove an item from the agenda or change the order of the agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Mooneyham,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Bergman. Is there any discussion? Call for the question.
Joe Rivero,
Yes.
Mooneyham,
Yes.
Bergman,
Yes.
Jeff Rivero,
Yes.
Fall.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next matter is ceremonial matters, but before we go into that, I'd like to thank all of the persons who and congratulate the new council members and the new mayor, and we will be swearing them in at the next December 8th meeting, and so I just want to thank them very much. With that, ceremonial matters. We're going to start with the mosquito abatement representative, and that would be Chuck Balch. Is he here tonight? Come on down. Okay, and then while he's coming down, Mr. Balch, the rest of the planning commission get ready to come. Okay. What?
Jimmy, you rode back there. How are you doing?
I don't feel very well,
Oh,
and I
bless
don't
your
want
heart.
to give you anything that I have, because you sure don't want it. So anyway, Chuck, on behalf of the city of Atwater, I just want to thank you for your service to the city. City of Atwater Certificate of Appreciation awarded to Chuck Balch for his dedication and service as trustee on the Merced County Mosquito Abatement District for 13 years, I think.
It'd be 14.
14, okay.
Coming up on 14.
Coming up on 14. We really want to thank you for your service. Thank you. I'm a big man with my bugs, but
I'm tough.
me too. Thank you. Thank you again. Oh, did you want to say anything?
Well, I hope that whoever takes my place,
That's Mr. Mike Nelson.
okay, I don't know him, I don't think. Anyway, he's in for a big surprise. And we'll see how long he lasts.
Thank you very much, and thank your family. Appreciate it so much. Now, we'd like to have the Parks and Recreation Commissioners up here, right here together. We'd like to have the traffic people behind me, and planning over to this side. And Mr. Bergman, would you please come forward?
Right behind you?
I don't care. I think it'd be safer for you if you were behind me. What, dear? Oh, yeah, planning. Over there, Mr. Warshall. Come on up. Come on, don't be afraid. We won't bite. And I promise not to contaminate you. Oh, he doesn't want to have my bugs. Really couldn't blame him. Anyway, is there anybody else out in the audience that I missed? Traffic, planning, Parks and Recreation. Okay. We would like to thank you very, very much for your service to the community. Each one of these commissions has given so much to the community, and we cannot thank you enough. So on behalf of the city of Atwater and the citizens of Atwater, we'd like to give you a little certificate of our appreciation. So with my friend, Mr. Bergman, over here to the, whatever you are, to the right, the first person on planning is Jimmy Davis. Is Mr. Davis in? Planning, Mr. Davis. Okay, thank you. Next person. Oh, Mr. Warshall. Okay, here, give it to me. Yeah, would you please go out there and deliver that personally? Mr. Dash, what the heck are you doing on that side? Get over here. I've changed my mind. What else is new? Aren't you going to take it over to him now?
As soon as we're done with these fine folks, I'll be happy.
Okay, thank you. Who's next? Oh, that's Parks and Recreation. Mr. James Murphy. He's right there. Come on over, James. I'm not feeling walking. Thank you. This young man has served on our commission for about 12 years.
Something like that.
And chair and everything. Thank you, thank you. Job well done. Caesar Vera. Caesar, my man. Well, we'll have to find him, but we're going to have to get him volunteered for something else. He's the best video. What does he do? Does video things, doesn't he? Yes. Okay. I can't help it. I'm not right up there, but I know he does wonderful filming. Okay. Parks and Recreation, right? And we have Tim Sanchez. And Mr. Sanchez, thank you. Good job. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate your service to our community. And Jim Jansen, Parks and Recreation. Where's my friend, Mr. Jansen? Well, I'll have to round him up. Okay. Mr. Vineyard, Traffic Commission. Thank you so much. Good job.
Area where I want.
Kent Amberson, Parks and, right? Traffic Commission. Thank you. We appreciate your service. Thank you. Jimmy, oops, we're already did. Jimmy Davis.
You know, because these two were
Yeah.
appointed to a new commission.
And we,
That's because they were appointed to a new commission.
that's correct. That's correct. But that's okay. It's nice of you to come up anyway. And we appreciate it that these two young people are part of our, no, not till I tell you can. These people are part of our committee for the development and resources. Is that correct? Thank you. And this is Mr. Lee and Ms. Dash. We have Mr. Reed. We have Mrs. McWaters. We have a Mr. Heiler. And who else? Anyway, so we hope that this commission will help us to combine all these wonderful people into one, so we can sit down at at the table one time, and everybody gets their and we get some better communications. And so, anyway, I just want to thank you all very, very much. Job well done. Thank you. Yeah, would you go out and find Mr. Warshaw, please, and hand deliver his... Beverly? Okay, we have another young man that we're honoring tonight. He could not be here today. Friday, he went south with the whatever goes south in the migration. He went to Hulahay for his Mexican retreat for the winter, and that's John Derby. And John Derby just finished 50 years of newspaper publishing and production, and that's a wonderful thing. Give the man a round of applause and all of these wonderful people that put it together. Nobody thought that he could do it, but he did, and it's wonderful. And we were going to present it to him, but we didn't get it done, and so he says, Joan, I'm heading south. And he said, but Beverly is always there, and she would love to receive this certificate. So City of Atwater, Certificate of Appreciation awarded to John Derby and staff of the Atwater Winton Times for 50 years of outstanding service to the City of Atwater. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. Comments from the public?
At this time, any person may comment on any item which is not on the agenda. Please state your name and address for the record. Action will not be taken on an item that is not on the agenda. If it requires action, it will be referred to staff and/or placed on a future agenda. To comment on an item that is on the agenda, please wait until the item is read for consideration. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes.
Okay. First person, please state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Gary Gonzalez. I reside at 1626 Victoria Place in Laverne, California. Tonight I come to address the City Council regarding the death of my mother, Delia Gonzalez. My mother was killed in the crosswalk at the intersection of Linden and Bellevue on December 16, 2010. Her death could have easily been avoided if it were not for a dysfunctional and incompetent city government that failed to provide a safe and appropriate intersection at Linden and Bellevue. On February 10, 2004, the City Council accepted and paid for a proposal by Wilbur Elias that called for modifications to traffic lights at the intersection of Linden and Bellevue. But for some reason, no one from City Council can provide a rationale as to why the city failed to implement the 2004 modifications from Wilbur Elias that would have saved the life of my mother. It wasn't until 3 months after my mother's death that the City Council chose to fully implement the modifications from Wilbur Elias. My mother was a healthy, vibrant, God-fearing woman that gave so much to this community. She loved living in the city of Atwater. My mother was a pillar of the community, and it is for this reason I find it so ironic that the City Council thought so little of her and the citizens of Atwater that they waited for 6 years to make the modifications to traffic lights that could have saved lives. After 4 long years, my family received justice for my mother. On October 6, 2014, a jury of 12 citizens unanimously found that the city of Atwater was 100% responsible for the death of my mom and awarded my family $3.2 million. But now, the city of Atwater has chosen to extend this 4-year nightmare and appeal the unanimous verdict and try to hide behind a veil of perceived immunity. Shame on you, shame on the city council for attempting to deflect your responsibility once again. If my mother was the one and only citizen killed at the intersection of Linden and Bellevue, I could understand the assertion that the city was not aware of a potentially dangerous condition. But she was not the only one killed. 2 other citizens were killed before my mother, Mr. John Toes in 2001 and Ms. Winfred Dutton in 2008.
Excuse me, sir, you need to sum it up. You have 27
And in between the deaths of
seconds.
Toes and Dutton, I got just 4 lines. The city had ample opportunity and a written plan to correct the dangerous intersection at Linden and Bellevue, but failed to do so. If I were a current citizen of Atwater, I would be concerned that the city council takes action to correct dangerous intersections only after 3 citizens die or until the city is sued. Your hands are covered with the blood of 3 citizens that were killed because you failed to do your job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. A couple things. First of all, on the Monday before Thanksgiving.
Excuse me, sir, can you introduce yourself?
Andy
and your
Krodick,
residence?
proud resident of Atwater,
What's your address, please?
3389 Lighthouse Court.
33 Lighthouse Court. Thank you, sir.
On Monday, the 24th of November, Hosteller Ranches, in memory of Greg's wife, Kathy, will be giving 500 turkeys away to those less fortunate at the Los Banos Fairgrounds at 3 o'clock. And then we'll be doing another 500 turkeys at 3 o'clock at the Merced County Fairgrounds at 3 o'clock. And we're going to try and get the word out, but to those less fortunate folks, and got flyers going out and stuff like that. So encourage you, if you know anybody in need, they can contact me at my cell phone, 756-8787, and we'll give them the information. The other thing I just want to say, congratulations to Mr. Mooneyham for serving 4 years. I know you love Atwater, and it's a privilege to serve, and you did it. And also to you, Mr. Rivero, your father will be very proud of you. Thank you for your service. And also to you, Mayor, 12 years. I worked with you for 4 years, and thank you for your service, and wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Hi, Judy Bowling, 137 Judy Drive. This is kind of like the last ugly, and then I'll be happy. I just wanted to clarify some stuff that I said from the podium and things that went on here, because there's still people that's batting around about it. Okay, I never, ever, ever taped any calls from James Vineyard. I didn't have to, they were emails. When I brought up about passing out flyers, I worried about losing the nonprofit and what would happen to all of these children. I'm happy election's over. I think it's the ugliest one I ever remember. I'm ready for a new year, and I think it's going to be a great year. And then the last thing is, when my husband had a disagreement outside, my husband was not drunk. I know that's been plastered all over. My husband had not had a drink. He was just furious. So we're going to miss you, Craig. We're going to miss you, Jeff. We're going to miss you, Joan. I'm sorry I gave you guys a hard time. Life goes on. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, City Council members, ladies and gentlemen, Jim Price, 3467 Village Woods. I too wanted to lend my voice to that of Andy Krodick's and thank Craig and Jeff for your service, and you, Mayor, as well. The Mayor has been very, very gracious. I spent 2.5 hours on Friday talking with her and being oriented to City Hall. And it was a very, very nice meeting and very, very cordial on her part. And I don't want to ever let anybody think that we're ever going to take anything away from an icon of this city. And I wanted to make that point tonight. This election year is finally over, thank God. But I just want to make sure that I pay the respects to Mayor Joan Fall and the years of service that she has made to this city, not only in the 12 years in local government, but as her years as an educator. And I think this entire city owes her a huge debt of gratitude for that. And I just wanted to publicly say that. And I feel as though I have very, very big shoes to fill. And God bless you, Joan. I appreciate everything you've done for this city. Thank you.
I'm the senior chaplain with Atwater Police Department. My name is Larry Lee, and Mayor and Jeff, Greg, thank you for your service. Well, it's about that time. In about less than over 2 weeks, we're going to start our Cops Fire for Kids. And I've signed up a lot of people. We're going to start on the 29th and the 30th, and then we did the 4 weekends. And just to show you how many people have already signed up to help me out, look at that. Just look at that. 10 years ago, when I started it, I started helping Ted. We only had about 8 people, but people have come forward and they're really helping us out. 2 things I'd like to share with you is the Bloss House on the 17th, I believe it is. They're going to have their annual housewarming, and you can bring over toys and money, whatever you want to do to help us out. And then this year, for the second year, we're going to have our car club come again. And it'll be over at Kmart on the 14th. And if you want to see some beautiful old cars, they're there. And it's just a beautiful sight. Plan on an hour or 2 because it'll take you that long just to see all the cars. And if anybody want to help out, help me with this, see me, and we'll take care of it. And thanks again. Let's have a great Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you. We can't thank Chaplain Lee and his group enough for their wonderful cops and fire department for kids. Is this not, Chief and City Manager, the 37th or 38th year?
It's 37th, and Larry had taken over the program this year, but he's been working with us for about 12 years. So, Larry, thank you for everything that you do.
Okay, is there anyone else who wishes to come forward and speak? Okay, we'll move on to the consent calendar.
Background information has been provided on all matters listed under the consent calendar, and these items are considered to be routine. All items under the consent calendar are normally approved by one motion. If discussion is requested on any item, that item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate action.
Councilpersons, is there any items that you wish to pull for Councilman Bergman?
Yes, ma'am, I'd like to pull items 5 and 6.
5 and 6. Is there any other items that the council would like to pull? Gentlemen, any other items? So I can say that 5 and 6 are the items that we're going to pull. Okay, so then, with the remaining, are there any members of the audience who would like to come forward and speak on any item of the remaining consent calendar? Please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none. Sir, pardon me, what item is he, okay, why don't you go up and, is there someone who's helping him? Okay,
Where's the microphone?
Okay, let's give him a mic. Yeah, oops, we should have done that. I'm just thinking. Jeff, can you help me out here, please? Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree. Mrs., can you turn the air conditioner down? Mr. Shaw, I think you're the one who knows how to deal with that air conditioner. Gina? Okay. Sir, I'm sorry, we told you to, why don't you back him up a little bit so that we can see him? And then we'll, is the camera, can you see him all right, sir? You're good? Okay. So have him state his name and address and for the record, and tell us, he has 3 minutes to explain his concern.
On which item?
Well, I don't know which item is he here to speak on.
The cats, feral cats.
Oh, the feral cats? Oh, that's on the consent, no, that is not on the consent calendar. Okay, is there any other item that he's here to speak on? No. Okay, so then we'll just pull him back and have him wait, just right where he's at. But just, thank you, Jeff, if you take that, yeah. But just kind of pull him back a little bit so that the other people. What, dear? Okay, we'll be fine, just right there, ma'am. Okay? Yeah, it's coming up. We've got to approve of the consent calendar. We have, no, so we have 5 and 6 pulled, so we will go ahead and approve the remaining calendar, and then we'll discuss 5 and 6. Can I have a motion to approve the remaining calendar, consent calendar?
So moved.
Moved by Bergman. Do I have a second? Seconded by Joe Rivero. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Any further discussion? Call for the question.
Jeff Rivero,
Yes.
Bergman,
Yes.
Joe Rivero,
Yes.
Mooneyham,
Yes.
Fall,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay. So we have item number 5. We have Mr. McBride. That's Witten Way, Atwater Boulevard, traffic signal modification improvement.
Just bear with me if you would mind here. Let's see if we can get this together for you.
You might as well get ready for 6 too, because both of them are
Yes.
your items.
You're welcome.
Looks like we've lost our video feed, so I'm not going to be able to show you the cover sheet. Thank you, Mayor and council members. These items, I'll go with 5 first. I know you have to take them
Yes, 5.
separately. So item 5 is on your agenda for consideration tonight. This would authorize us to prepare the advertising for the bids, for the package to go out for notification for bids. This is for the project to reconstruct the signal at Atwater Boulevard, Winton Way. There's some related improvements to it, some improvements on Winton Way from basically the intersection up to Olive Avenue. It's designed to provide for pedestrian and vehicular safety. This is a project we've been working on for over 8 years. We've come to this point tonight. We were able to finalize the plans and the specifications this summer. We reauthorized Proposition 1B funds to make the final push to get it done. I believe we have the traffic engineer here tonight. He was here earlier today. Mr. Benavides is here. He can answer any questions that I can't answer for you. But this basically is a process to initiate the period that we have the advertisement out in the public, and then the end is the bids. We have a bid opening. We receive those, we come back to you, and you have another opportunity to review the project and to make the award. Just like tonight, you have item 4 on your consent calendar, which you just took a motion on to approve. That was for pedestrian safety improvements near Olive Avenue and Eileen Colburn. You'd already done a bid call. Those were finished, and tonight you awarded the contract. So for item 5, we're asking for your authority to start the process, which allows us to do the advertising. As far as the source of funds, Mayor, if I might, the funding source for this are your former redevelopment agency bond funds. Those were issued in 2007. You have a little bit over $2.3 million that are held with the trustee. There are some limitations for what the project can be used for. It does provide for some flexibility. But the big issue that we have with the use of the funds is the time frame is narrowing very quickly. We have to prepare an item called the Recognized Obligation Payment Schedule. Those are the ROPS documents that I know you're familiar with. You see them twice a year now. And on that ROPS that's coming up for the period of July 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2015, we'd like to have this project go forward so it could be funded and constructed during that time period.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that time again?
So the ROPS period is from July 1, 15 to December 30th, 15.
December 30th.
The problem is, to get it on that ROPS schedule, you have to have that submitted to the State Department of Finance around the 3rd of March.
Okay.
So in order for us to meet all the steps we have to do for the bid call, which is the advertising, the notice, having the bid out for a while, receive the bids, develop the packet to get it back to you, we're basically on a schedule now to barely make that. It does require your approval at a later time as a successor agency of the ROPS, the approval of the award, obviously, and also has to go to your oversight board, which is another step in the process before it goes to the State Department of Finance. So we've outlined that, and it works with the schedule that we're taking forward tonight. We can work on a different schedule if the council has some concerns about it. For instance, if you were to delay this for a meeting, we could still make it. It would, however, require us to have special meetings throughout. That'd be special meetings for the successor agency, the city council, the oversight board, to meet that hard and firm date, which is March 2nd, which is the submittal date to the state for the Department of Finance. And I just want to be very candid. There is still a great probability that the state's going to fight the city on taking this project to go forward. We may have to make an appeal. We may have to go through a process for it. They are authorizing the use of bond funds for projects for former agencies. We've done all the prerequisite work we had to do. A lot of it's water under the bridge. You had to go through many, many processes to get to the point where you are now. That's in addition to finalizing the plans and specifications. So everything we've been doing has had one goal in mind, which is to get this project built. And that's why we're here tonight, to get started.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Bergman, Councilman Bergman, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of the concerns I had with these is due to the size of the plans and because we are going to be looking at a new council, my concern was where we were at on the timeframes, because I do feel that the new council should look at this. What would be the costs incurred if we were to put this off for a meeting to allow the new council to take action? What would be the costs incurred with these special meetings? And
I couldn't answer that. That would be a question to the city manager, city clerk. I don't know. There's advertising. There's time for the attorney to be here. I don't know. As far as myself, I'm here every day to work, so I'll make it happen.
Okay. One of the other issues I had with both of these is I believe I read read some information where we would get the lowest bid. I feel the city has been bit several times in the past because the council hasn't been given all bids received. And I don't want to approve this language without an amendment that the council receives all bids, so we have the opportunity to look at everything, not just a bid that is brought forward. Sometimes the lowest bid isn't the best. And so what I want to see on these is that the council receives all the bids, so we have an opportunity to look at everything presented. That's...
Councilmember, if I could, for reference, point you maybe to item 4 tonight. That's the one that you did approve earlier. We did include, for your information, the 4 responses we had. And,
correct, but some of the wording in one of these I read earlier, it stated we would only get 1 bid. I want to see them all. That's why I pulled these. One of the reasons I pulled them is I want to make sure that the wording is put in there that the council has all the information presented by anybody placing a bid, so we can make a decision based on that.
Okay, I think we're doing that. I think I understand your concern. We are, however, required to take the lowest responsible bidder. So if there's one you want to exclude that's the least cost, we have to find out a reason why they're not responsible for meeting the requirements of the specifications. So I would be more than happy to work with your city attorney to see what we can come up with. But as far as the bids, I think we do, as a policy, provide the dollar amount. I don't know that you see all the documentation for every one of them, but as a course of practice, if you want to do that, we can include that as well.
Personally, I'd like to see it. So getting back to the point on cost, if we were to hold these off for the new council, I don't know if the city manager can estimate that, or the city clerk, on what the additional cost to the city would be?
It would depend on how many special meetings we would have to have.
Okay.
I have some, we have worked long enough, this money that for these two projects was money, oh, sir, why don't you come forward and give us the, okay, you're going to help him, and then I can give my little concern, and then you can help us out, Mr. This project, these two projects are part of the redevelopment agency that the state dissolved. That was our money. We agreed to pay the extra tax it was so we could get the bonds. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. McBride, on this redevelopment agency, or the city manager can. So I'm not saying something incorrectly, but this was our money. This is where we were able to improve and our city, and this was by bonding. And so the state, in their wonderful wisdom, decided that because of certain people in the South who couldn't follow the rules, that they would ruin the rest of it for the rest of us who do follow the rules. So they disbanded the redevelopment agency. So thanks to Mr. McBride, we have worked long and hard to get the money back that is your money, that the state now decides is their money, and then they're doling it back out to us. These are our two final projects we have. And I just do not want to put these off any longer, because I'm afraid of what the state will do. Right now, they say we have $773,000. That doesn't mean that tomorrow, when we take this back to the finance department of the state of California, they won't say, guess what, you don't have any money. So that's what worries me. I can see, Mr. Bergman, your concerns. I truly can. But in this particular projects, both of them, when we're dealing with the state, and when they already came along and did away with redevelopment, the redevelopment agency, and did not let it be a vote of the state of California and the citizens of California, they chose themselves to remove this. That was something that affected every city in the state of California. Every city. We all were part of the redevelopment agency. So I really feel that this, anyway, I just feel that we should not delay. We can come back and discuss this later on. We can come back and work on it, fine tune it, right, Mr. McBride?
Mayor, essentially tonight, you're giving us authority to advertise. It's ready
Right.
to go. And the next step would be award of the bid.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so-
Mayor, as the engineer came up and approached me to remind me that part of the reason why you have a lag in this is that there's a process, however remote as it might be, if you have tie bidders, or you have a bidder that decides they want to remove their bid after it's been received, that we have to go in sequence to the other ones. So there is a sequence in the back end of the award part. And again, you have one hard date, and that is you have to have this decided if you're going to do it or not, and on your ROPS by March 2nd. If you don't have that done, then you've got a whole another 6 months minimum wait before you can do this. The only other point I would bring up, in 2016, you no longer have a local oversight board, and so you lose any type of local input and control you might have on these projects. It goes away.
Excuse me, sir. Now, if the money for these bonds, we're not able to spend it, then what happens to that money, sir?
If the money is not spent on the projects, then theoretically the money could be diffused to help retire the bond debt. So you take the $2.3 million you have for completion of these projects, it basically gets used to diffuse the debt, and so it's paid off $2.3 million in payments quicker. So probably about a year or two.
Who's it paid off to whom?
Who's it paid off? The debt security instrument goes to whoever's got the bonds, whoever has bought shares.
Okay, so what I'm saying is we don't redistribute it within the different agencies that are represented we don't pay it off to those people then? To our local, like the Merced College, the school district,
Eventually it will. at the back end of the schedule, you got to keep in mind that the schedule for the bonds goes to 2027. So eventually, like in 2025, the bond payments would be made, as opposed to continue to 2027.
Thank you.
There was a question about how many special meetings would it take. I think we can do it for the advertising purposes with 2 special meetings, one of the Oversight Board and one which would be a combined meeting of the successor agency and the City Council. That would have to fall the week of 2/16 to 2/19 for the City Council successor agency, and the following week of the Oversight Board, 2/23 to 2/26. If we don't meet those requirements, there's no way we can get it done by the date for submittal to the Department of Finance. That doesn't mean there is a risk on the back end about the situations I outlined about bidders possibly pulling out bids, but assuming that doesn't happen, you shouldn't have any issues on that end.
Okay. Mr. Bergman, do you have any other comments before I go to Mr. Jeff Rivero?
No.
Okay. Councilman Jeff Rivero?
Go ahead and skip me. You're going to open it up to the public, correct?
Yes, but I ask you people first, and then I'll open it up to the public.
All right, thank you.
Okay?
And Mayor, just for clarification, you're only talking about item 5 at this point, right? You're only talking about the Winton Way Atwater Boulevard intersection improvement project, is that correct?
Yeah.
Because item 6 has to be dealt with separately.
But it's basically 5 and 6 are quite similar.
They go
aren't
hand in hand.
They go hand in hand.
You have $2.3 million, you have 2
Yep.
projects tonight that you're going to expend all your funds on, so yes, you're correct. And they're following the same schedule and the same processes.
Right, so we can kind of talk about, because they're both have reached the same point in the approval. Mrs. Public comment on item number 5, which is the Atwater Boulevard traffic signal modification. Mrs. Bowling?
Judy Bowling, 137 Judy Drive, Mayor, City Council members. I have a real problem with this. I don't think that the citizens of Atwater understand that we're going to spend $2.3 million for a couple block area in downtown. I have another problem with one of the members on the super committee, or whatever we're calling that committee, owning properties down there.
Excuse me.
So I think that we need to put it off for a month and really analyze this. There's a lot can be done in the redevelopment district. It doesn't have to just be done on those 2 blocks and that one corner. I think we need Atwater Boulevard and Winton Way.
Let me give you a definition of this, because it's within a certain specific area, and we're kind of going over a little bit, but again, Mr. McBride, would you please define the areas that, and I know we're kind of combining the 2, but I think since Mrs. Bowling is up, she needs to understand that there is a specific area in the downtown that this money covers.
The redevelopment agency is...
But there's a specific area within the redevelopment agency.
It's, trying to fix our technical issues so I can show you the exhibit, but item 5 is basically the intersection of Winton Way and Atwater Boulevard, and it goes from Sycamore Avenue to Olive Avenue on Winton Way, basically, and from about Maple to 5th Street on Atwater Boulevard. And it provides for dedicated right turn pockets that we need for both north and southbound Winton Way, and provides for overlay, provides for new signal interconnect there. And it's, like I said, it's for safety improvement projects. So it's the biggest project you have before you tonight. It's the one that's going to take up the majority of your funds. It's a little bit over $1.2 million. Plus you have some other associated work that has to be done by Union Pacific, which is about $300,000. The other one on the agenda tonight, item 6, I believe, that is on Broadway. That's from Winton Way to 1st Street. And I haven't discussed that one with you tonight, but maybe because the question came up, it's a good time to mention it. We're looking at what you have available in funds. You have $2.3 million. If you look at what's required for the one intersection project, you have a piece left over for this one. It's not enough for the design. The project was from Winton Way to 1st Street along Broadway. It doesn't include any cross streets. It just includes Broadway, and that's basically it. The design that you have is for about 1.2 million. You have about $780,000. So we've developed specifications that have specific things that can be added or taken away so that you could try to tailor what you have with the bids that you have. And that's the process we've gone through for that. They're called deductive alternatives. It's trying to maximize your money with what we can do for the maximum leverage. I think the point that I'm hearing is that maybe there's other projects the community would like
Right.
to see.
I understand
I think
that.
the
I
issue we
just-
run into, Mayor, is there's no way we can design
Right.
anything else given the time. It's taken
Right.
us 8 years to do the design work
Right.
for both of these projects to get where we are today.
And if we don't get it done by March of 2015, we won't have any money left. Judy, you have 2 minutes and 6 seconds left.
I don't need that long. I still go back to,
Okay.
for a year, I have been complaining about basically doing this downtown, and it was pretty much the 2-block area. Don't you think, and it's been pointed out, the aesthetics for the city. It's been pointed out whenever you come into Atwater. Okay, when you come into Atwater, you come in there down by the flea market, down at that end of town. You come into Buhack over here. I don't know how many people actually pull into the city of Atwater and then drive over from Atwater Boulevard and jog on to Broadway. Nobody that I know. Nobody. I could see Atwater Boulevard. I mean, even some simple sidewalks and just some things that could be helpful to help clean it up. But we're going to beautify that area when we could be looking all over that is in that area. I just think it's wrong. And I think that people sitting on committees shouldn't have a financial interest in those things, to be making those decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, anyone else who wishes to speak?
Eric Lee, 1199 Atwater Boulevard. Are we speaking to the
You're
intersection?
speaking to 5.
Pardon?
5, item 5, the intersection. I was just trying to kind of explain where the 2 areas.
I'll speak to number 6 when that comes up then.
Yes, you will.
Atwater Boulevard and Winton Way is an intersection that this money was allocated for, or a portion of this money was allocated for. We had money that was allocated for downtown. Some of that has been shifted over that intersection, which anybody who drives through that intersection understands why it needs to be widened, why it needs to turn pockets, and why the road work over the railroad tracks has to be done. You know, we can get into aesthetics, but that basically is a safety issue. We've talked about that earlier this evening. We have a safety issue there. We need to address it. The redevelopment money will do that. And as far as having a financial interest, I'm on Atwater Boulevard. I'm not on Broadway. I'm not on Winton Way. I'm not in that sphere. It doesn't do anything for me, but it does something for another part of Atwater that desperately needs the money that has been allocated. And this has been going on. This will be the 3rd council if this is moved forward in 7 years. We need to move on that now. The money is there. We will get the proper bids. Move on it now while we can. Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to speak? Item number 5. Come on, we can talk about it out in the audience. We got to get it up here, please. Okay, with that, we'll bring it back to the council, and Councilman Jeff Rivero.
Yes, with the majority of our council, 3/5 of it being sworn in at our next meeting, I would like to make a motion to have items 5 and 6 scheduled to be on our agenda on December 8th. I think it's important to get the 3 new members ample opportunity to get all their input, because when we send this out to bid, it's out to bid. So I'd like to get those 3 members on board, let them get any type of input they'd like to for the bid, so that way when it goes out, it's under the majority of people's approval. So with that, I would like to make a motion to put items number 5 and 6 on December 8th meeting.
I'll second.
5 and that's correct, we haven't addressed 6. City Attorney,
Then I'll go with, I'll revise it for item 5.
5, thank you. Revise the
I'll
second.
revise the second.
Okay, so the motion is to move to put this item number 5, Winton Way, oops, I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Mooneyham.
Thank you, Mayor. In the past, I've been a vocal advocate of postponing actual agenda items in the instance where they were new items, or it was a new motion to investigate a potential course of action. In this instance, I have to agree with one of the speakers. It's been 8 years. This was here for 4 years when I took office. This is something to move on. There's no need, in my humble opinion, that this council, as it stands, can't take action tonight. Thank you.
Okay, any other persons? We have a motion on the floor to move this item number 5 to the December 5th, 8th meeting. Second, moved by Rivero, seconded by Bergman. Call for the question.
Joe Rivero,
Yes.
Mooneyham,
No.
Bergman,
Yes.
Jeff Rivero,
Yes.
Fall.
No.
Motion carries.
Okay, item number 6, Broadway Streetscape renovation, pedestrian safety. Mr. McBride.
Well, I think I've solved our problem. We had an unplugged cord. But besides that, I don't know that you can see what we have here. I've already kind of described for you the limits of the project, but it's basically between Winton Way, which would be on your left side here, and First Street, which would be on your right side. And it's streetscape improvements, which are basically elimination of the uneven walkways for pedestrian access, replacing the existing lighting with new energy-efficient lighting, more lighting to make it safer in the area, some decorative enhancements. Again, this is a project that we did a lot of outreach on. We worked on the plan. We have tried very seriously to not use much city money in the design of this, so we were able to leverage grants back in 2009, 2011 to do the work. And so we have basically the plans and specs ready tonight. I understand where you're going with item 5. I think that's probably going to be the same for item 6. I want to make sure that it's clear to everyone in the audience that we were not trying to ram this through to take advantage of who's on the council tonight. We're trying to go with the scheduled meetings that are outlined on your agenda and the calendar to meet that date that's out there that I've been very clear about. That's March 2nd, 2015. And there's a way to do it with special meetings, and if that's the direction you want to take this by having the new council work on it, we can work around that schedule, but I want to make sure that everyone understands we weren't trying to rush it tonight. Not like we worked on it for 8 years and we tried to fail at the last minute. We're trying to keep it in line to get it to go forward. That's why we're here tonight.
Okay, any questions of Mr. McBride? Seeing none, we'll open it up to the public. So if the public would like to come forward and speak either on this item, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Eric Lee, 1199 Atwater Boulevard. You know, we're not ramming something through that's taken 7 years. I mean, that's pretty obvious to me. And regardless of whether we have a new council coming in or not, they're going to be able to put their stamp on this, and I'm sure they're going to want to. That was part of some of the pre-campaign rhetoric that all of us heard. We want to see Atwater move ahead. We want to see Atwater beautified. What we're talking about downtown, we're talking about pedestrian safety. We're talking about the red brick or Bowmanite that is virtually impossible to walk across when it's in the intersections and also in the parking strips. We're also talking about flooding at 3rd Street and Broadway, which prevents ingress and egress from that particular corner across that intersection. People have to jaywalk. People in wheelchairs can't even get across. We're also talking about lighting. What we're looking at is going to LED lighting that will make downtown Atwater accessible at night. Now, think pedestrian, but also think law enforcement. I've been down there on ride-alongs at 2 in the morning. You can't see anything. You can't see people in front of businesses. You can't see them in the little alcoves. It's very, very dark. Intersection safety. If anybody's been down there and looked at the crosswalks, they don't exist. Concrete strips with bomonite in between, stop signs that are hard to see. You can't tell if there is a stop sign there. We see people who run that stop sign all the time. It's very dangerous. Intersection ADA access. We all know about ADA. This is a legitimate problem for ADA access. It needs to be addressed and needs to be addressed now. Tree removal. We need to remove the Bradford pear trees that the past administration put in, I think 5 years ago. Those damaged cars, they trash your car. They get all over the sidewalk. You walk on them. They're a trip hazard. And then finally, let's talk about beautification. Let's talk about what downtown means to Atwater. I understand Atwater Boulevard. We're working on that. And by we, I say all of us in this room. We will work on that. But this is downtown beautification. This is your city. It's important that we make it viable to bring in businesses and to maintain existing businesses. Right now in the greater downtown area, right now, we employ over 500 people. Think about that. Do we need to keep that viable? Yes, we do. It's important for Atwater. It's important for your community. And I think it's
Wrap it
important
up,
for this
Mr. Lee. You
council
got
to make that
15
decision.
seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else downtown?
Judy Bowling, 137 Judy Drive. Sorry, I thought last time we were talking about 5 and 6. Mr. Lee just had a point, that this was being worked on for 8 years. If it were being worked on for 8 years, then why 5 years ago didn't we do it? Why did we do something else? Why? There's a lot of stuff that we could do that wouldn't cost $1.3 million down there to beautify it. I don't know what's going to change no matter what we do down there right now. How many buildings are vacant? The 500 people employed down there, isn't that at Teasdale or something like that? Downtown where? Oh, the school. The school warden. To me, I just think there are better ways we could spend that money than that couple of few blocks through there. I've seen wheelchairs down there. Didn't we redo that down there twice? Had to have the brick. Had to have the brick. Why have the brick with the mortar whenever women, some of them wear high heels down there? But we had to have it. So, can't we put a little bit down there and do some other stuff? We don't have to have the very most expensive lighting for the aesthetics of it. We need some functional, nice looking lighting. We're not going to be having vegetable and swap meets and all of this stuff. It's too late in the year. I'm sure we could do a lot down there without spending this kind of money. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Krodick?
Thank you, Mayor. Andy Krodick, 3389 Lighthouse Court here in Atwater. I'm sure Mr. Mooneyham and Mr. Rivera are going to miss these meetings. I just want to speak to something that got my attention. If it's been 8 years, it's because one of the hardest working employees the city of Atwater has, and one guy that I really respect, Scott McBride, doesn't have the resources he needs in terms of folks helping him. So thanks, Scott, because I know you've worked in this a long time. 20 years ago, Mayor, we pumped in $1 million something downtown. It was one of the first things that I worked on when I got elected, and I remember us having committee meetings and redevelopment advisory board members, and I don't know who's on that board, and when these meetings were held, I'm pretty dialed into Atwater, so if you could read off a list of the board members, maybe it's still just the council. The other thing is, I wish we had flooding not going downtown, because that means we were getting rain. I haven't seen flooding down there in a while, but the people of Atwater have just made a huge statement, and I think it'd behoove you to allow the new council to talk about how they're going to spend the money. They'll probably spend it exactly how it's planned, but I think it's huge, and if they don't get it done, then we'll get rid of them, because it's got to get done. It's clearly a priority. But thanks, Mr. McBride and Mayor. I urge you to allow this to be continued to the next meeting.
Okay, is there anyone else who wishes to? Ms. Kay, come on in.
Madam Mayor, council members, Bill Barkman, 2100 Fruitland. For whatever reason, you're missing a primary point of the redevelopment. That is risk management. You already have an appeal for a woman who died in a crosswalk when plans were not addressed in a timely and appropriate manner. Now, to put off issues that have to deal with traffic safety and pedestrian safety does not make sense. And personally, I have 3 people, seniors, who have fallen downtown. Now, to get your attention, do they have to file a suit against the city so that you'll do something? Come on. Let's do what has been planned for 8 years that addresses risk management for the city. Thank you.
Okay.
Jim Passadori, 1200 Broadway, Atwater. I've always thought that the purpose of the redevelopment agency was to keep the downtown core area from deteriorating. That was kind of its initial inception and definition. And that was done in 1984, Scott, back there, so 94? Okay, that's possible. So 20 years we haven't had really any street work done. We haven't had any lighting improvement. And I've seen, as Mr. Barkman has seen, several people fall on the sidewalk in front of Granny's, in front of my store. The Balmanite is a nightmare. You can't push a stroller across it. You can't walk in high heels very good across it, and I even avoid it myself. I'm really hoping that the council tonight will not procrastinate any longer. That's what has gotten us in this situation that we're in, where we have a March 4th deadline that is going to be very difficult to meet if you do postpone the agenda item, let alone if we started tonight. And one more final thought. This might be for the city manager and or the city attorney. When those bonds were sold, the people who bought them were given federal and state income tax avoidance, not really avoidance, but they were tax-free. They didn't have to pay taxes on them because the money was promised to be spent on particular city improvement projects, such as the Winton Way interchange and downtown. If that money isn't spent on the projects that it was intended, and the money, let's say, is just given back to retire the debt, then is the money still tax-free? Will the IRS say, you guys didn't spend the money like you were supposed to? You use it, you basically just let people get tax-free income for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, then the IRS could say to them, well, gee, guys, you've got to pay back the interest now and your income taxes plus penalty. I'm just throwing that out there because I'm not a stockbroker, I'm not a lawyer, but I understand if you get tax-free money for tax-free bonds, then the money has to be spent for the project that it was intended for. Thank you, Council, for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak? Okay. Let me talk, one thing, Mr. Kurdick, I'll talk to you. You're absolutely right, it hasn't rained, but the problem with the flooding on the corner of 3rd and Broadway is that when they put the line in, they did, on the corner of 3rd and Broadway, they did not put the drainage line in correctly. They managed to put a drain on the side of Granny's, on that side. That's where the old drain was, and that's a French drain, which means it goes into a hole and then it comes back out because there's no place for it to go. Then they go over, and then across the street, there's the new drain. But they didn't do the drainage properly, the elevation and so consequently, the water doesn't go across the street and into the new drain. It goes into the French drain, and then the French drain brings it up, and no matter what time of the year, you can have flooding in front of that area, which creates a major danger for pedestrian walkway. So we looked into how much it would cost us to have Phase 1 come in and move that over, about $6,000. So maybe that's what somebody's going to have to do if we can't get this thing through. But anyway, you're right, it hasn't rained, and it should drain, but it hasn't. So anyway, we're just... I just wanted to clarify the reason for the drainage. Okay, with that, any other questions? No, there's no further discussion from the audience on this matter. We'll bring it back to the council. Is there any questions from the council? Yes, Councilman Bergman.
Thank you, Mayor. I've listened to all the comments. I agree with Mr. Lee with all the issues he brought up. Those are severe issues that we have to be taken care of. I'm not procrastinating. I'm not turning my back on the citizens. They're number one. This is the reason we're here. We heard Mr. McBride that said that although it may require some special meetings, that he can still get this done in a time frame. I'm very confident in his abilities. I know he's pulled through every time that an issue has been put in front of him. So I feel confident we can still make our time frames. Again, this is an issue that's going to go on as it's being done for years. I feel it incumbent that the new council have their say in how this is done. Therefore, I would like to move that we postpone item 6 until the next meeting, as we did with item 5, to allow the new council to have their voice.
Moved by Mr. Bergman to delay item 6 till the next meeting, December 8th. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second the motion by Jeff Rivero. Is there any further discussion? Councilman Joe Rivero.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I heard a comment too about ADA compliance, and I do know that when it happened a long time ago that the bricks were causing a problem, but I do recall reading in the paper way back in the 90s or whenever that the city had done some things to bring it into acceptability. To make it acceptable, and I don't know if it happened once or twice back then, so that's what when I hear this, are we in compliance right now with those bricks that were, I mean, that was done a long time ago to sand them down or something, so I was just curious, because I haven't heard anything else about them being out of compliance until possibly tonight, for them to be out of compliance. I mean, are they out of compliance now, or was that taken care of back in the 90s?
Well, we don't know, but I can tell you, Councilman Joe Rivero, that I cannot walk on those bricks because they twist my ankles and they make me fall, and so I have to walk down the center of the street. And so we don't have anybody here that can say whether those things are in ADA compliance, but I, as an old woman, can tell you that it dangers me, and I don't plan on breaking a hip by walking in those Bolinite crosswalks. So I'll still be walking down the center of the street till we either get them fixed or I get hit. But that's the way it is.
And that's one of my concerns too, is that I think that it would be good for the other council to come in and take a look at this, because what was done back then to approve some things that weren't just so, you know, and they found out later, wow, there's a big mistake here, that everybody needs to take a really good look at it and say, hey, is everything being approved right now really going to be good? And I think that the new council coming in, it's not really hurting them, hurting us, is putting it back a little bit. But as I heard, you know, procrastination, well, you know, it only comes to the council as fast as it comes. So, I too am wondering why it's taken so long. You know, part of the things that the previous council made was the fewer meetings, and so you're pushing us off to the, you know, a little bit later than another meeting this month. But I don't see anything wrong with waiting a little bit. Scott's capable, and he said he could get it done, so I believe Scott. And then the other thing too is that I did have, as addressing Mrs. Bowling, who was talking about some of the things that were going on, and I recall way back then is that I was against the replication, right? Where you're going to replicate doing the very same area, that you can broaden it, expand it, because you have to make Atwater, as you were saying, look better in the downtown area. It shouldn't just be down one street, but the more you broaden it, with those monies, the better it is for the citizens of Atwater. So, and I don't see anything that the next council won't be able to do, because I'm sure that with the timelines, because it's brought once again to a council with a time limit of you have so much time to do it, or else that people, to be able to spend the money, they're going to go ahead and spend it anyway. But I think it's still a good thing to have that final input from the new members coming in. So that's why I'm for delaying it just until the new council's sworn in.
If I only had to depend on Mr. Scott McBride to get the job done, I wouldn't worry one bit. But when I have to depend upon the state of California and the Department of Finance to approve this project, that's what worries me, okay? So, I mean, it's up to you, it's a democratic process, but I'm sorry. That's the way I feel about it. And with that, is there any other questions, comments? Councilman Jeff Rivero.
I'd just like to make one comment. I think tonight basically does a 360 for the last 5 years I've been on this council. Because I remember when I first came on the council, I had talked to Andy Krodick. He had talked to me about lit crosswalks. He basically handed me the batons, told me to keep going forward. So I pushed really hard for that. I remember my first meeting, I tried to get a lit crosswalk on that spot where Mrs. Gonzalez was killed. Our staff never brought that report forward to me. I think, and why am I saying that? Because I think it's important for the 6 more eyes that are going to be up here at this council can maybe see something that we missed, to make sure that a report's not filed, or that the safety issues that are taken downtown are caught. I hope we haven't missed anything. But I think it's important for those 6 new eyes to be able to have all the input they can to make it as safe as possible. I've tried to do the best. This whole council's always voted 5-0 on trying to make the cities as safe as possible. And I think it's just wise to add 3 more eyes, a new mayor, 2 new council members, to give them an opportunity to check this over and voice what they think is their opinion of making it safe. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other comments? Let's call for the question. Pardon me. What, dear? But we already had public comment. I'm unfortunate. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, thank you. I apologize that we. Okay. Okay. Call for any questions for up here. Okay. Call for the question.
Jeff Rivero,
Yes.
Bergman,
Yes.
Joe Rivero,
Yes.
Mooneyham,
No.
Fall,
No.
motion carries.
Okay. With that, I think.
Don't take a break, don't take a break.
Take a break.
Oh, keep going.
Okay, we're going to take a short break.
Business card. No, same company, just a different card. Hey, Joan. Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I just got.
My father starts at 6 a.m. Probably 6
Jeff, good luck with whatever you do. You're not leaving teaching, are you?
That's your bread and butter.
Okay, let's go. Come on, round up, let's go.
We just passed him.
Okay, item number 14. Treasurer's report. We need to have the city attorney here for the treasurer's report. Okay. Okay, Mr. Heller?
Yes.
Our treasurer?
Yes.
Please, the treasurer's report for the month of October 2014. City Treasurer Heller.
Your report's in front of you.
Where's the trash can? Okay, do we have any questions of the city treasurer?
Yes, Jeffrey.
Councilman Jeff Rivero?
I was going to ask Mr. Heller if the wastewater treatment plant bond is on schedule and it's...
Yes. And I paid the 2007 and 2006 ARA series bonds on 23rd.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions of, and regarding to the treasurer's report for the month of October 20th, October 2014? My apologies. Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll approve the treasurer's report for the month of 2014. Councilman Jeff Rivero.
I'd like to make a motion to approve treasurer's report for the month of October 2014 as presented.
Okay, moved by Jeff Rivero to approve the October. Seconded by Joe Rivero. Any further discussion? Call for the question.
Bergman,
Yes.
Jeff Rivero,
Yes.
Linehan,
Abstain.
Joe Rivero,
Yes.
Fall.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next item, public hearings. We have 3 of them tonight. 15, item 15, ordering the vacation of certain public right-of-way, Guzman Street, Community Development Director McBride.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. As you know, we've had this item on your agenda, I think 3 different meetings in September. This is the 3rd and the final step. We had to have a public hearing for a public meeting tonight, at which time we're asking for your support in adopting the resolution to allow us to go ahead and order the vacation. The point, or the area to be abandoned, we've discussed this before. Guzman Street is basically an unimproved area, runs perpendicular to Sycamore Avenue. There's an exhibit for you there. Also in your packet, you have the legal description. But again, this is the last step in the process. You've already given us approval to go through the process to get to this point, and this just basically is the final step we have to do, require the public hearing, and then if you're approving this resolution tonight, it gives authority for the execution, and then we can do the recordation of the document. And be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, do you have any questions before we open up the public hearing? Okay. We'll open up the public hearing. on the vacation. This is the time in which people may come forward, either for or against this item. Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes. Seeing no persons who wish to come forward and speak regarding this item, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the dais. Councilman Bergman.
Move to approve staff's recommendation as presented.
Okay,
Second the
moved by
motion.
I'm sorry, just a moment, please. Mr. Bergman moves to approve the recommendation. Mr. Jeff Rivera, what was your?
I'll second the motion.
You're seconding the motion, thank you. Is there any further discussion? Call for the question.
Mooneyham,
Yes.
Joe Rivero,
Yes.
Bergman,
Yes.
Jeff Rivero,
Yes.
Fall.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next item on the public hearings is item number 16. Item number 16, waiving the first reading and introducing ordinance number CS 956, adding chapter 6.14, feral cats to the Title 6 of the Atwater Municipal Code. Lieutenant Joseph.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The City Council direct the city manager to evaluate and make amendments as necessary to Title 6 animals of the Atwater Municipal Code to include chapter regarding regulations governing those who temporarily provide food, water, or other form of substance to feral cats. Ordinance number 956 amends Title 6 to include chapter 6.4, feral cats, to the Atwater Municipal Code. The analysis here is feral cats have become a public nuisance in the city of Atwater. They are generally not socialized, and they may pose safety hazards to individuals who attempt to approach and or handle them. Feeding, providing water, and/or forms of substance to feral cats on or near public property may lead to unsanitary conditions. Implementing an ordinance to control the nuisance is hereby deemed necessary. In addition, adding a chapter to the Atwater Municipal Code concerning feral cats will provide avenues for recovering costs associated with violators and reduce community service officers as well as patrol officers' time spent regarding this issue. The fiscal impact: the city may receive revenue and reimbursements as a result of the infraction under this chapter. In addition to any administrative penalty assessed the violation of Chapter 6.4, any person found in violation of this chapter will be charged according to the fees set forth in the ordinance. The city miscellaneous fee schedule will reflect fees. Said schedule will be brought forth in the future meeting for possible update. And that's all I got for that.
Okay, do we have any questions of Lieutenant Joseph in regards to this ordinance?
I have a question.
Just a moment. Okay, he wishes to speak. So now, if there's no questions on the dais, we'll go. Can you give him the portable? Thank you, Councilman Jeff Rivero. Okay.
I have a question.
Okay, sir. Can you could you please state your name, please?
My name is Ben Roybal. I live at 1795 Eucalyptus in Atwater. And I have a question of the lieutenant. Yes. Did you write this amendment?
With the city attorney.
The city attorney? Really? Is a real lawyer?
Yes.
You know, it's just incredible.
City attorney, would you please state what when you passed the bar and?
That is awesome. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm a real lawyer. Thank you. I mean, my wife doesn't think so, but everyone else acknowledges it. Yeah.
You
1989.
When did 1880?
1889.
1989. 1989, sir. He passed the bar and became a.
But we should answer a specific question about the ordinance.
Right.
I understand your comment, but.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay, so I have a statement.
Okay.
I'm against this amendment to the ordinance and I want to tell you why. I feed cats. I'm a veteran of the Korean War, and I had a buddy who was a gunner like I was, and he told me what had happened to him when he landed in Korea. He was hiding in some bushes, and some North Koreans were having lunch over there, and he's hiding, and there was a cat there. So he kicked that cat, and the cat screamed and ran away, and the North Koreans grabbed the cat, killed him, and had him with their lunch. That's what they do, eat cats for lunch. And so I promised myself that I would not be against cats. So as of right now, I feed cats. So if you want to arrest me, sir, you've got my address. Come get me.
I too feed cats.
Yeah.
I'm going to be second in line.
And I want to tell you a little bit of philosophy. I come out of the Eastern schools where real education is taught. I have a degree from Georgetown University, and we had a certain number of hours in philosophy. There, the Jesuit priests taught us that man is an animal, a woman is an animal, dogs are animals, cats are animals. The thing about a feral cat is that they are homeless animals. So once you finish with the cats, what you've got to do is you've got to go gather all the homeless people that live in Atwater and put them to the chopper too. Really. There is no difference. There is no difference between animals. If they're homeless, they're homeless. Just get rid of them. And that's all I have to say.
We appreciate your coming before our council, and we appreciate your making your statement, and thank you very much. And again, would you tell me what your last name is, please?
My last name is Roybal, R-O-Y-B-A-L. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
I worked for many years at Castle. I alternating between 2 days in Castle and 2 days at the Lemoore Naval Base, and I lived in Fresno. And when I retired, I became an advocate to raise money. I think I probably have raised more money in Fresno than anybody else during the time I was there. And since I've been here in Atwater permanently, I've probably raised more money than anybody else. The only thing is that now I'm blind. It makes it a little more difficult. But I can still do it, and I'm going to do it. So if this ordinance goes through, I will design a system, maybe a grant of some sort, that will eliminate all the things that you have to against animals, unless you want to eat them.
Thank you for your Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay, is there anyone else who wishes to come forward and speak? And thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that.
My name is Renate Lipperson-Schmitz.
Okay, just a moment. You got to kind of go a little slower for us so we can make sure we get it down.
Okay.
And thank you for coming. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
My name is Renate Lipperson-Schmitz, 6660 Bailey Road, Atwater. I have here some, and it says best friends. I think that is not for the officer, and it's not for the lawyer. So, best friends. I don't know if you help stray cats, spay or neuter, TNT, what we do. I have proof. My daughter, who got murdered in 2008, in 1998, she was going to the base, and we helped, and the people in the base, and the new mayor know exactly that too. We was going all and trap the cats, what people done. We rescue, spayed and neutered 800 cats in 1 year from the base. So that's what we keep to the animals down. We took animals, they was injured, sick. The Santa Fe Pet Hospital, Dr. Craig worked with my daughter, they spayed all the animals. And what is the solution? There was not so many cats because they didn't reproduce. When you have one cat, they usually, you know, when they get kittens, you have 6 to 8 kittens more. So that means when you go and trap the cats, bring to them, you have 6 more cats what you kill. So I was, 2 weeks ago, I was 5 days to a convention where 1,700 people from America was all coming together. And I have to tell you, there was not one shelter what was there, the people, animal control, or they was against spay and neutering feral cats. Los Angeles will end next year, absolute no kill shelter. They don't put any parvo dogs down, they don't put any little kittens, barrel-fed kittens down. They want to save all of them. And Oakland, they have the TNR program. Stanislaus, they have it since 2 years. I talked with the doctor. They say they're doing really great. They have a low-cost spay and neutering program for them, $30 only. You bring them in, they spay them, and then you release them. We did it at the base, you know, because it was so many animals. People dumped them everywhere. It's not the animals' fault. It is the people's fault. It's all our fault because we don't spay and neuter. Their cats, they was not feral before. That was house cats, what maybe you touched, maybe had in your arms. Get rid of it because maybe she pooped too much, or you know, or this or this, or you got a new husband who didn't like the cats, okay? So, but anyway, everywhere where I talk, the TNR program works. Because the animals, you spay, you trap them, bring them to the doctor checks them, is everything okay, and spays them, and then you release them. And you make sure that there's food there. And we did it at the base. And then some people got upset that there were so many animals, and we got the city von Merced, I forgot his name, but anyway, who was in charge. And then he agreed to us and said, okay, every animal who's here at the base can stay who has the ear trimmed so that we can see it is spayed. And that dissolved the problem. Please, I beg everybody, think about it. This was our best friends. That is the best friends. That is not the animals that hate us. They hit and kill and spit on this, yeah, because nobody cares, because they get dumped. Please, I beg you, remember, it is God creatures. You guys, I believe, everybody believes it. Did we forget that God made the creatures?
Thank you.
God didn't make us and kill us. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next who wishes to speak? Please come forward.
My name is Wendy Ward. I live at 1873 Elm Avenue. I am currently feeding over 30 cats in the city. They are not in my neighborhood. I found them by accident when I lost a cat and went looking for my cat. I will be a future violator if you pass this ordinance because I'm not going to stop doing what I believe in. We started this meeting with a prayer. Okay, well, God put us in charge of the animals. We are the caretakers. This is not the plan he had in mind. The city says there's no money to help with any kind of programs, but yet I just heard you state that you put trees in 5 years ago that you now have to tear out. That's wasted money. Those ugly sidewalks downtown that nobody can walk on, that's wasted money. There's plenty of money. You guys just are not spending it wisely. I do not feel that you, as the council, just as the mayor stated earlier, she was upset that Governor Brown just stated, we're taking your redevelopment money because we think we can do better with it. Same applies to you. I don't feel that you should make the choice for everybody in the city. I feel that if you want to do this, it should be put up for a city vote because people would come forward and they would give money. I have people hand me money all the time because they see what I'm doing and it's out of my own pocket. I only work part-time. But I'm going to do this. I've talked to officers when I see them. They are very polite. They understand why I'm doing this. Code enforcement officer, he's just itching to get his hands on these cats. People need to drive by his address, look at his house, okay? Because he's code enforcement. Maybe you should be worried about your problems before you go focusing on problems elsewhere. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Andrea Vidalis. I live here in Atwater. I've been here quite some years. Man, I don't want to tell you how many, but a lot. 3 years ago, I happened to cross a little teeny kitten. I've never been real passionate, but that little wet kitten hovered underneath the building that the city occupies, caught my attention. So I started feeding it. And from there, I went to a few others, all on the same property. How funny that was. They were all huddled there because it was fenced in, and dogs couldn't get them, and they could stay away from people. And they never bothered anyone. And so slowly, we started to catch them, trap them, fix them, clip their ears, and return them. And do you know, it's been 3 years, and I've got the paperwork here. I'd go to Los Banos at my own expense, my gas, to get these little guys fixed and return them. And, you know, they lasted about 3 years, but, you know, I never felt bad about the money I put out to do this, because I know it's the right thing. And at the present, yes, we do have a problem. But, you know, this is the wrong way to go about it. Fining people, making people register, what is this? Giving them leukemia shots, virus shots. You know, I can't afford that. It's everything to just trap them. It takes $20 from my pocket with the voucher from New Beginnings, and I run them down there and do this. And I've got paperwork here to prove it. I've fixed 15 cats, if not more. And you know, it's right here in my paperwork. And you're trying to tell me I can't do this anymore? This is crazy. I don't understand it, you guys. These are cats that everyone has put out on the streets, and you're asking me not to feed them and water? I mean, you know, I'm the kind of person that if I see trash on the sidewalk at the parks, I'll pick it up. I'll go ask the neighbor, can I throw it in the garbage can? I have not yet once seen a police officer stop to help or whatever. Never once. But they're very kind. I mean, you know, they've never been on my back about it. Never. And this, I can't believe you guys have put this together for Atwater. I really can't. This is not, I hope it doesn't fly. I hope you people stand up for these little innocent animals that cannot do it on their own. And you people ought to be backing us. You guys need to let New Beginnings or these other places put something together, you know? That's it. They'll die off in 5 years. You guys, I mean, 5 years is not very long.
You wrap it up. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Who's next?
Good evening. My name is Amanda Hage. I live at 155 East Santa Fe in Merced. I would like to strongly oppose item number 16 regarding the proposed feeding ban on feral cats, and I'd like to offer an alternative. This is a cruel, seemingly uninformed attempt at population control that has not only been proven to be ineffective, it ignores the real problem. Forcing compassionate citizens to stop feeding and providing water to ferals is cruel to the animals and the citizens themselves. The proposal purports to allow a method for citizens to continue to feed the cats by registering with animal control and adhering to a list of requirements. But there is no way that most citizens can afford the cost of spay-neuter, testing, and vaccinations. We have no low-cost spay-neuter options here, and the option we did have in the form of animal control vouchers last year did not apply to ferals. I disagree with the analysis and question what experts were consulted. The assumption that a feeding ban would cause the ferals to leave is not correct. This would just cause the cats to be forced out into the open even more because they'll be scavenging for food. Nuisance calls will increase because of this, not decrease, as is stated in the proposal. Tax dollars will be wasted on enforcement of an ordinance that's ineffective. AC will be burdened with the task of monitoring all of the feral caretakers, and, as is stated in the proposal, if the city has to abate the nuisance because people are caring for starving animals, the cost to the city per cat for euthanasia is around $68 a cat. The city would be taking the cats to their deaths as they do not make it out of there alive. I believe that this city would be better served and would increase public confidence and satisfaction by putting together a committee to include representatives of the city, local rescue groups, and animal control to develop a TNR program in order to practice the only proven method of humanely controlling feral cat populations. At a minimum, I request that the matter be continued and set for a hearing so that testimony may be heard from additional experts in the field of feral cat care and trap-neuter return. This hearing was only brought to the attention of most of us within the last week, and it is an issue that is hotly contested and presents a moral and ethical issue. Please do not hastily set such a dangerous precedent. Let's get together and show the city of Atwater cares about the welfare of animals and is not willing to fall into the age-old cruel practice of starving animals because it's easier. Let's put together a program that has been proven to work by our neighbors in Stanislaus County and do what's best for the city, our compassionate citizens, and our animals. If you aren't an animal lover, you probably do care about the economics of the issue, and TNR is the most cost-effective option. The beautification project has taken years and years and is still being continued. Lives are at stake here. Let's take some time and find a humane, effective solution.
Bergman?
Thank you. I just had a question for the last speaker before you sit down. You referred, I couldn't make out whether you said TNR or DNR.
TNR is trap, neuter, return. Rescue groups, feral caretakers, trap feral cats and bring them into, be sterilized. And
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Well, I thank you. I just didn't know when you were referring to it. I didn't know what you were referring to. Thank you.
Would you do me a favor? I need to have you come back so that, but anyway, I need to get your name so I can put it on my thing, please.
My name is Amanda Hage. That's spelled H-A-G-E.
H-A-G-E. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Sorry, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Nancy Loddick. I live at 827 West 25th Street in Merced. I am a volunteer with Last Hope Cat Kingdom, Cat Kingdom, and I am a feral cat advocate. I agree 1,000% with what everything Amanda just said. Spoke was the truth. Excuse me. I'm here as an advocate for the feral cats. Feral cats are not social to people. Cats are not going to be in areas where there's a lot of public people. They hide and they do not approach people. So the one concern in your ordinance was that a feral cat would harm a resident of Atwater, which will more than probably never happen. There are also state laws protecting feral cats, and I don't know whether you've researched into that. I cannot give you any specific ordinance numbers. As Amanda stated, we were given short notice on this hearing, and we're not even able to receive the ordinance until today, the proposed ordinance until today, which I think was kind of to me underhanded by the council or whoever wrote this ordinance. And also, catch and kill does not work. If you're proposing that your code enforcement officers trap the cats, that the numbers still increase without spaying and neutering, and trap, neuter, and release. And so you're just continuing the problem, even with euthanizing the cats. And to me, this reminds me of World War II, where Hitler. And you might as well just put a Jew across their forehead. You're going to annihilate a whole species of animals. Trap, neuter, and return absolutely works. And it stops the population growth in the colonies. And if you have responsible caretakers for these animals, and there are more caretakers in this community than you realize, they're responsible caretakers, then the populations do not grow. They actually go down by attrition.
You need to sum it up, please. Sum it up, please.
Pardon me?
Bring it to an end, please. Your minutes are almost over.
I realize that.
Please. I'm sorry.
And so I'm just going to say, I believe if you do this, you're going to create a secret society of feral caretakers, and it will not work. You have to have spay and neuter. You have to have some spay and neuter programs.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Madam Mayor, City Councilor Judy Bowling, 137 Judy Drive. I hope that you do pass that ordinance tonight. I don't know if any of you have ever taken a great-granddaughter, 18 months old, brilliant, smart, beautiful, loving. Try and go over to the park over here where the football or baseball fields are. Put your child up there on the slide. Watch the feral cats come running out. If you take your food over there for a picnic...
Hey, people, please, they respected you. Please respect the speaker. Thank you.
I've taken food over there and left it on the stroller that I pushed her over in. Come back and it's torn apart. Torn apart. They're very aggressive if they're looking for food. I worry more about the children. I'm sick of them, hearing them at nighttime with my windows open. You know, there needs to be something done. It's not the city's problem. We don't have the money to do all of this stuff. And who's going to take them after they're fixed? How many cats should you have on one property? But people say they want to break the law in doing some stuff. Let me tell you, I really feel like breaking the law when I have my little great-granddaughter over there at the playground. She shouldn't be threatened, and neither should I, by these cats coming to you looking for food. Thank you.
Thank you. No, we only have one time. I'm sorry. We still have people who need to speak. Go ahead.
Wayne Wallace, 1653 Van Terrace. I'm here more for education. You're doing a step with feral cats. Now, how many of you, hold your hand up, have had a direct confrontation with a feral cat? Okay, you're going to know, okay. We traveled in a motorhome and we went south during the winter. If you want to find out what to do about the feral cats, call the city of Yuma. Ask for their animal. I'm talking seriously. They have cat traps that they let the people, you go down and you check them out.
Excuse me.
You catch them.
Just a moment. Please, if you have a question, if you have a discussion, take it outside. Go ahead.
Okay. We had the area that we were camped in, we're just kind of crowded with them, so I went over and got one. And I caught one the first night. And I went to pick that cage up. I couldn't. I had to throw a blanket over it and pick it up and carry it over to the SPCA office. They took it and put it in the cage, give me my blanket back, and they gassed it right there in the cage because they said there's no way we can get it out. What happens is these cats are feral and they're running around. Now, I don't know how thick the bobcat population is here in this town. Can anybody tell me? The cats mate with them.
No, they don't.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, come on. That's all right. The man has 3 minutes. He has his opinion. You have yours. Finish it up so we can continue on.
Okay, but they do mate with them, and you ought to see what they produce. It's not a little kitten, it's a monster. When you go outside in the afternoon for the 4 o'clock tea time, usually we always try to go with a retired deputy or sheriff or somebody that had a gun to put on the table, because you don't know. The coyotes are afraid of them. That's a problem that you're going to be faced with unless you do something about trapping these feral cats. And the other way, I don't know that much about animals, but that's it. The other thing I want to warn you about, this is just from experience, those geese that you see flying over in the morning, kind of low, making a lot of noise, how would you like to see 200,000 of them flying over and blocking out the sun? Plainview, Texas is a place you want to call. You can't even see the water in the lake. It's so thick. And when they go to the bathroom, it's not a little one, it's a big, and it's everywhere. And I had the pleasure in Brownfield, Texas, of giving the geese collided.
I hate to tell you, Mr. Wallace, but stay with the cats, okay?
Okay.
Finish it up.
Well, I'm trying to tell you, you got another problem that's coming.
Okay.
So just be aware.
One problem at a time. Okay, Mrs. Jones, come on down.
Everybody's going to be mad with me, all of you. I love cats. When my mother died, she had 100 cats at her house. She had Alzheimer's, okay? My goddaughter bought a ranch, in order to have animals of all kinds. But you are hurting the animals when you're feeding them. They run in the street, they get hit by cars, they have a whole lot of pets, more animals, and they have nowhere to go. And I called Sammy on the phone and tell him, look, I just moved into a house and there's 15 cats in my yard and I can't feed them. He said, I can't come and get them. These cats are gonna get in trouble. If you care about the cats, take the cats to a shelter. Let them have them, they will not hurt them.
Okay, go ahead. You're on deck.
We'll try to get them a home first.
Okay, Mrs. Jones, you're speaking to us. Okay, you're done?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Feral cats are euthanized at the shelter.
Thank you.
100%.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, next person.
Good evening, my name is Elena Blanton. My address is 2721 Lexington Avenue, Merced, California. And Mayor and council members, I'm here to ask that you at least table this item. And I'd like to address two things that were mentioned. Bobcats do not mate with domestic cats. It's not possible. They are interspecies, technically. The other thing is anybody who's attacked by a feral cat, it would be a pretty rare occurrence because feral cats are afraid of humans. That's why they're feral. People confuse domesticated, homeless pets, cats, dumped or run away or lost with feral cats. True feral cats do not come near human beings. They are terrified. And if indeed the sandwich was attacked, it's because somebody is not feeding the feral colonies and weren't allowed to feed the feral colonies. Perhaps didn't know about this feral colony. I highly doubt this was a feral colony. But I want to make three major points, other than addressing other people's concerns. I realize that perhaps the feral cats have already been declared nuisances, which is a shame because they are not the nuisance. It's the people who refuse to spay and neuter their pets and who abandon them and dump them for the rest of us to sorrow over or feed or worry about or find a nuisance. Second point is that the plans for dealing with this, dealing with people who do feed colonies, is really more like, what should I say, is unrealistic. It's an unrealistic burden on these people who do care about these cats. Spaying and neutering is a fortune. I don't know if you know, we do not have low spay and neuter clinics here in Merced County. We have occasional Los Banos clinic will do it for, I think it's $25 if you can get a voucher, if their vouchers are available. In other words, we don't have these resources that people will need to comply with this ordinance. We don't have them here in Merced County. I really believe we should be collaborating, planning, talking about it with each other, getting rescue organizations involved, getting city involved, planning rather than punishing, and finding people who want to do what's right.
Can I ask you, pardon me for interrupting you.
No.
Spell your last name carefully for me.
Blanton, B-L-A-N-T-O-N.
B-L-A-N?
T-O-N.
T-O-N. And your first name?
First
ma'am?
name, Elena, E-L-E.
E-L-E-N-A. N-A. Thank you.
Thank you.
And what's your address, ma'am?
27.
21.
21. Lexington Avenue.
Lexington Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Jeff Rivero.
Yes, I think that we're putting a whole bunch of rules and regulations out there that are overburdening
Okay,
our...
time out. We haven't finished the public hearing. So we'll first
Just
we'll ask
called on
these
me,
young
so-
people if there's anyone who wishes to speak either for or against this item. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Bring it back to the dais. And now, Mr. Jeff Rivero, Councilman Jeff Rivero, my apologies.
No problem. We will, with all these rules and regulations, we're overburdening our code enforcement, we're signing ordinances, all these ordinances coming down the hill. It's going to be impossible for them to do all of what's necessary. I think that I'd like to make a motion to table this ordinance indefinitely and give our city manager direction to work with animal control, nonprofit organizations, and people in our community to come up with a solution to the problem that we have. That way that we can face the future and try to do the best we can to make sure that we don't have any mishaps with cats versus humans. I think that with New Beginnings and other nonprofit organizations out there, that if there is a problem in the city, that we can work on it efficiently. I'd like to thank Lieutenant. I know that I received a phone call a couple months back. There was a problem with cats and somebody shooting them, and Lieutenant got right on that, worked with the person that called up, so I want to thank you for your dedication.
No problem, sir.
Okay, so we have thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to table this item and refer it to the city manager to develop. Did you get all of that? What we're supposed to do? Okay, now I'm going to second that okay, so I have Mayor Pro Tem Mooneyham, followed by Councilman Bergman.
Thank you, Mayor. I would be against tabling this indefinitely. Earlier, we heard a pretty strenuous objection to taking any action now for fear that it might hamper the future council's input. So I think that we should do the same with this item. I think anything less would kind of smack of underlying plans. Thank you.
That's what that is, man.
Not tabling it indefinitely. You could table it until the next council gets on board.
Oh, dear. Okay, Councilman Bergman, followed by Councilman Joe Rivero.
Thank you, Mayor. This brought quite a bit of discussion. Really surprised me. I didn't think it'd bring this much, but I too am an animal lover, but I know there is a problem out there with these cats. We've had a lot of individuals stand up tonight to offer solutions. I have not met any of you people, but I know issues in the past. People have stood up against things, and when it came time to doing something with it, they were not there to help us out. What I'm going to ask you individuals, you've been very vocal on against this, but we need to do something. A lot of people said we need to institute a program. We don't have the funding. We are already looking at a deficit, and again this year in our budget. We don't have the funding to do this. We need you to come up and give us some ideas. I'm okay for tabling this for a while, not indefinitely. We need to address this issue, but I would like to have the input from those that stood up tonight and help us out. What can we do to take care of this program? Neutering's a great idea. Again, we can't afford to, the city cannot afford to fund this issue on our own. So I'd like to see some input from these that spoke tonight. we need to come up to some type of solution, and, because it is a problem in the city and it needs to be addressed. Now, I'm sorry, ma'am, you can't speak for me. But, so what I'm asking is those that spoke, please give us your information and step forward and help us out and come up to a solution on this. But I do not want to suspend this indefinitely. I do want to address it again in the near future, but I want some input from the citizens to help us out on this.
Okay, Joe Rivero, followed by Jeff Rivero.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I agree with Ms. Rivero, except for the tabling indefinitely. I think I brought that back up before about it was wrong when this council, I'm glad to hear the three members that wanted to agree to table the campaign contributions indefinitely are now speaking against it, and also recusing yourselves for receiving so much money from certain individuals. That was part of the tabling it indefinitely in the past. But I'm just saying, I'm thanking them that we're going in another direction now.
Item on the floor.
Okay, and another thing, I have a question is who placed this on the agenda? I want to know who placed this on the agenda.
Mr. City Manager or City Attorney, one or the other? Who placed it on the agenda?
Lieutenant Joseph, you were given direction to place it on the agenda, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I wanted to know if it was a
Due to
council
the
member.
fact of all the complaints that were coming in,
Yes,
correct?
sir. We had several complaints and some animal.
All right. And the one thing that I really was objecting to on this is that we had something come back to the city. It was, maybe a couple of years ago when they were talking about, because it's okay to have chickens but not roosters, and that there was this huge thing that was being pushed at the council to charge them this tremendous amount of money. No, this goes along with this.
Sir,
This-
we are discussing the
Okay,
cats,
then I'm
and we're
discussing the cats.
discussing the tabling
exactly.
so we can get proper information and
Exactly.
develop a study group. We're not
Exactly.
talking
Thank
about
you,
the
Madam Mayor.
chickens or whatever else.
Okay.
So let's
But
stay with what we
The people,
have.
once again, as back then, are being penalized if they're feeding the cats.
Sir,
Just
we're
like,
not penalizing anybody because we haven't
You know,
finished
please,
that.
Madam Mayor,
No,
let me
sir,
finish a statement.
Finish it up, and that's
Okay.
it. But
If
stay
you don't agree
on
with it,
topic.
fine. I believe I am. The people are being punished in this ordinance by charging the people that are actually feeding the cats and making them out to be the villains. Okay, now they're trying to take care of it, and I want to thank the one individual who was out there taking care of some of the feral cats out of the base, because it was huge out there, I know at one time. You go out, drive out there at night, you'd see them all, and you still see it, but you don't see it like you did. And so a lot of these individuals from our city that are actually feeding the cats, I believe it was Mrs. Dallas said, she was spending her own money to go out there and have them neutered and spayed. Okay, so they may be feeding the cats, but a lot of these individuals are taking care of the cats that are in their proximity, in their possession. So to penalize those people that are actually taking those cats and taking them down and having spayed and neuter, and then you want to penalize them because you're and here's another issue too, is that we keep saying feral cats, and I do know this, there was a lot of people, especially with the home situation of losing homes, they left and the cats were remaining. So those, by definition, are they really feral because they were tame cats? I've seen some people feeding the cats, and they're tame, or fairly tame, and so, this is all just put down on one issue. Let's go after the people that are feeding them, and I don't think that's the solution. I think that there are problems. I heard one individual said there's in a park that there was a problem there. Then we needed to take a look at and focus on those issues that there may be a problem. Maybe there's a problem in that park, nobody's feeding those cats, because I know with feral cats, they are going to be more prone to do things like that if they're not being cared for. If they're hungry, they're starving, they're going to do just about anything. And so if we have problems, I think we need to focus on those problems and work with, and I agree with Mr. Rivera, on working with the other individuals to take care of those in those areas. I don't believe in punishing the residents, whether you're feeding chickens or you're feeding cats. They're trying to take care of and do the best that they can with it. And so, and I believe that's what this council believes too, is that the residents are trying. They're not over there trying to do something malicious by saying, I'm feeding this cat because I want him to go out there and attack somebody. I think it's just the opposite. They're feeding the cats so they won't go out there and be a nuisance to others. And if those cats that are fed aren't going to attack your cats, I'm a cat owner, they're not, more than likely, not going to come in and attack your cat. If they're starving, they're going to come in and try to get your cat's food. So the people that are actually taking care of cats, I don't see anything. We need to do something for those areas, but we shouldn't be punishing the people that are trying to do their part. So that's, I agree with.
Okay, we have any more comments? We have a motion on the floor. Yes, Mr. Jeff Favero.
I had a question for Mr. Terpstra. The definition of indefinitely, with 3 new board members coming on, and I'm going off your interpretation that I thought I remember you talking about prior, is that if you vote on the losing end of a item, you can't ask for it to be brought back. But Mr. Price, Mr. Raymond, and Mr. Vineyard wouldn't have voted on it, so up on the council, if they decide to bring this back, they would be able to bring it back at a later date. Am I incorrect in that? Or?
Yeah, you know, I don't know if this is even on. Having not participated in the original item, they can't move for reconsideration since they didn't consider it in the first place. So you have a little bit of a conundrum there. You know, without having to belabor the definition of indefinitely, it seems to make more sense to say, let's table this item so that the new council can consider it after staff has gotten input from the various community groups that are represented here and elsewhere. That would seem to make more sense to me.
Well, I don't want to cause a conundrum, so I would ask the mayor or ask to revise it to take out indefinitely, just table it.
Yeah, but that's, and I apologize, I must have missed the indefinitely. I think we need to, and I'd like to hear from all of those people who, I'd like to have their telephone numbers, 769-8250, since my last meeting is on December 10th. So I think I'll have time to become the queen of cats. And I think somebody already asked me about that as it is. And I think we can sit down and see if we can come up with some type of a program that will meet the needs of the people and, you know, and then bring it back. If they turn it down, they turn it down. But at least we'll make some efforts to try. And I think that's the whole thing. So if you could give me a call and give me your telephone number so we can sit down and meet. And then we'll be working with the new council, and if they want to give us direction on this, more power to them, and then we can report back to the new council. But I think we need to, is that okay, City Attorney?
Well, I don't know that there's actually been a committee formed to work on this, but I do think the intent of the motion was for staff to meet with the various groups that are represented here and to bring back a report to the new council for their consideration at a later meeting. I don't know how long that process will take. I don't know what people's availability is during the Thanksgiving season that we're about to go into, but I wouldn't want to constrain the police department and their staff in terms of timing. I think they've been directed to go out and meet with these interest groups, find other alternatives, and bring back a report for the new council.
That sounds good.
Okay?
Mm-hmm. I was just using my telephone number so they could give me a call. I could write the numbers down because we are real short on receptionists. But whatever it takes, that sounds like, I just think we need to take a look at it and work with it. Look in the utility bill. Okay, Councilman Bergman?
I would like to have the motion repeated. There's been so much going on, so many different directions. I want to make sure we're voting on, or what we're voting on.
City Clerk.
To table this item and to direct the city manager to work with animal control and other nonprofit organizations to come up with a solution to present to the city council at a later date.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm seconding that. Okay. Is that correct also, City Attorney?
It is.
Thank you. Is it okay if we call for the question?
It is.
Okay, call for the question.
Joe Rivero?
Yes.
Mooneyham?
Yes.
Jeff Rivero?
Yes.
Bergman?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Wait for a recess or give it a shot? What? Go ahead. Okay, we have another public hearing. What? Are we ready to go forward? Number 17, waiving the first reading and introducing the ordinance number CS 959, adding Chapter 8.48, camping, sleeping, storage of personal property, and panhandling to the Title 8, Health and Safety of the Atwater Municipal Code. Lieutenant Joseph.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. City Council directed staff to evaluate and make amendments as necessary to Title 8 Health and Safety of the Atwater Municipal Code to include a chapter regarding regulations governing camping, sleeping, storage of personal property, and panhandling within the city of Atwater. Ordinance 959 amends Title 8 Health and Safety to include Chapter 8.48, camping, sleeping, storage of personal property, and panhandling in the city of, to the Atwater Municipal Code. Implementing an ordinance to control the nuisance is hereby deemed necessary. In addition, adding chapter to the Atwater Municipal Code concerning camping, sleeping, storage of personal property, and panhandling within the city of Atwater will provide avenues for recovering costs associated with violators and also reduce the Public Works Department as well as patrol officers' time spent regarding these issues. That's what this is regarding.
Okay. Do we have any questions of Lieutenant Joseph before we open up the public hearing? No questions? Oh, pardon me, Councilman Joe Rivero.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This more to the city attorney, the wording sleeping, that is the only part on the first part that concerns me, where it's talking about camping, sleeping, storage of personal property. Now, if you're sleeping overnight, I would consider that camping, but somebody who just stops and sleeps there or falls asleep in a park, that needs to be a little more defined, I think, because I know there's people that are out there maybe, and they fall asleep on the park while they're picnicking or something. But that's included, it says sleeping in a park. And wouldn't just the camping alone cover that portion? If you're sleeping overnight, then you're camping out, but.
Yeah, I don't think I think as with any ordinance, you have to look at the overall intent, and I think if it's somebody who falls asleep on a park bench feeding the pigeons, that's one thing, and if it's somebody who sets up a tent and rolls out a sleeping bag and goes to sleep, that's a different thing. But I think it's an indicator that somebody might be camping. I think we can look at that language. I think you raise a good point. Maybe we could revise that language between first and second reading and see if we can come up with a more precise term between us and the police department to capture the intent. So it's a good suggestion.
And that was my whole question there, because you
Sure.
already have camping, why would you include sleeping?
Yeah, understood.
And I like to not be so broad where somebody else might accidentally get arrested because they fell asleep.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions of the council before I open up the public hearing? We'll open up the public hearing. Now's the time a person may come forward and speak either for or against this item. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Jim Price, 3467 Village Woods. In looking at the staff report for this particular item, one of the things, well, actually, there's 2 things I'd like to address on it. One is where your language was referring to the panhandling portion of it with respect to how you were on the street, distance criteria, what have you. I would like to suggest that language also be included to include street medians as a place that you should not or could not be doing any kind of panhandling, and I refer to like down at Olive and 59 where that's been an issue in Merced, to also include traffic islands, to also make that restrictive, and if need be to indicate specific locations, as was the case in Merced. I'm not sure that Atwater would fall into that same criteria, but just as a point of reference to that. Secondly, also, and I'm not sure how you would address this in so far as language would be included in here, but one business here in Atwater, who also has a branch office in Merced, has a continual nonstop problem with homeless types that have gone to the back of his business and used the water out of the hose and what have you in the back. And there's also nonstop incidences of defecation and urination in the back of his property. I also have another friend that lives in Merced that also has the same problem and is continually having to clean her property of that type of waste. So I'm not sure how you would address this in the language of the ordinance, but I think those are key points that need to be put into the enforcement mechanism. But with the panhandling aspect, that's definitely a safety issue on the mediums and the traffic islands. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello again. Elena Blanton, 2721 Lexington Avenue. I'm actually glad this item was also on the agenda this evening. I actually am a volunteer with the American Cancer Society, and Atwater's Relay for Life is every September. And traditionally, we have done what's called Purple on the Street. We're at 5 corners. We ask for donations. I hope this ordinance is not going to preclude us from continuing that. We raised about $3,000 this last September for the American Cancer Society.
Can I ask the city manager and chief, please, with this kind of thing, sir, don't they have to get a permit and like the boot and that kind of thing? Would that still be allowed through a permitting process?
Yes, it would, Mayor.
Okay. Yeah, I think you have to come through, put a letter to the city council asking permission to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, if there's no one else, then we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the dais. And do you have any questions? Councilman Joe Rivero.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One other issue, it's not really addressed here as far as panhandling, but because they're offering a service or a product, I still view it as panhandling, and some people get nervous when people approach them in the parking lots when they say, do you want to buy something? And they'll approach you, and I've had several ladies that felt very uncomfortable when they're approached by people selling things in the parking lot. Now, that by definition isn't panhandling because they're given a product, it's not included here, but can we include something about that in this, right, where that would be considered a form of panhandling in the parking lot of stores? Because I could see panhandlers coming up with something saying, would you like one of these? I'm looking for money. Anything else, like I say, there's already kind of a problem once in a while. And with Christmas shopping coming up, I think we're going to see it again.
Right, I just saw it the other day, and I don't know whether it involves the business license or something, but this young man, just like you said, he had a little tea and had these trinkets hanging off of it and was trying to sell it to people in the Wells Fargo parking lot. So, sir, does that follow under the same species?
I'm taking notes on that, and I think what we can do between the first reading and the second reading is incorporate language to that effect.
Okay.
It probably would occur under the definition of panhandling. So it'd be the unwanted offering of goods or services in a public place without a license to do so. And then as to the point raised by Mr. Price, I think we could incorporate language in subsection I of 8.48050, where it currently reads, it occurs, and this is panhandling is prohibited where the following conditions. It occurs at any location in which panhandling may impede traffic or otherwise obstruct the free use of public property. We could put impede traffic and then in parentheses, as in, or i.e. at street medians or traffic islands, or similar locations. And so we can probably just define these terms a little bit better in the second reading, and that would be perfectly permissible under the law. So council is still free to introduce it tonight, and understanding that the second reading and adoption would occur at the next meeting with the new council. So it's the advantage of having an ordinance in 2 steps is, in this case, a different set of eyes would look at the final product. So those are your options tonight.
Okay. Okay, do we have any, okay, I'll entertain him, if we don't have any more questions, I'll entertain him up. Councilman Jeff Rivero, and let's go with Councilman okay, Jeff Rivero followed by Councilman Bergman.
I had a question for Mr. Terpstra on the second reading. Is there still a possibility for the people to change it? Because I know sometimes when it's introduced in the second reading, you can't change it or else it has to come back. So on this, would the next council be able to make changes?
The next council could direct staff to go back and make substantive changes to the ordinance. That is, major changes to the ordinance that would require us to go back and introduce it again at another meeting. So we would basically restart the process. But if there are what we consider minor technical changes to it, changing the word "and" to or something along those lines, then those changes could be made at the meeting and adopted, so long as it's consistent with the body of the ordinance. So it's a judgment call. We've done it in the past. If we've had what we consider to be substantive changes, major changes, we've directed it to go back and start over again.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Bergman.
Thank you, Mayor. The only concern I have, and I agree, when we have people in parking lots that are approach asking to buy things, our schools thrive on fundraisers. I don't know how many times I go into parking lots and I have kids ask me to buy a candy bar, and I'm always willing to do it. But the way I understand it, this is going to prohibit them from selling their wares, which is, of course it will, Mayor, because they're approaching people and it's nothing different. So.
Well, then we need to put it in, just maybe get a permit or something. But normally, the people who do the selling usually stand next to the door, and they kind of go that way. Where this young man the other day, he was in the middle of the parking lot. But anyway, I think we need to, the fundraisers, we need to look into that. Because
be careful on the wording.
Yeah, we have to be careful on the wording with the fundraisers. Because we have a lot of people that's the way they go to camp, that's the way they keep the school going, so we really need to look at that. Okay, can you get that one down, city manager? I mean, not city manager, I just demoted you maybe. Okay. Went right over here, but anyway.
I'm not sure I have a law degree, so maybe I should do the city administrator.
Okay, I got Jeff Rivero again, or do I? Or did I forget to turn the light off?
I was going to thank Lieutenant once again. There's been
yeah.
a couple times where I got phone calls, and twice myself where I texted him and gave him a call. In the later evening when I was at Walmart, there was panhandling going on, and the lieutenant got right on it. Made sure, I know a lot of people, in fact, 2 ladies told me how uncomfortable they were when they were approached, and this guy would sneak up or hide in between vehicles basically and hit people up, and it caused for an uneasy feeling, so I appreciate you and the officers making sure that our people are safe. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Mooneyham.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to dovetail off of what Councilmember Rivero just said, Sammy, I know there's a lot of aspects that are safety aspects to this ordinance, but primarily it's a quality of life ordinance. And that's one of the reasons I choose to live here, is because when you go to our friends to the south, it's more predominant. Yes, and I think you guys have done an excellent job of trying to respond to that and deal with it. And so I'd like to thank you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, any other questions? Are we ready to entertain a motion?
Madam Mayor, before the motion is introduced, I gave you the option of introducing the ordinance tonight and directing staff to make changes in time for the second reading and adoption. That is one option you have. The other option is the minor changes start to accumulate, is to direct staff to make changes to the ordinance and bring this back for a first reading at the next meeting so that we can iron out any difficulties with the new council. That's another option that you have, and it seems maybe most advised at this point, given the number of small but important changes that have been suggested, and I think they're good ideas.
Okay. I have a question from Joe Rivero.
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion that the city attorney presented. And also too, I don't mind the fundraisers, but then again, fundraisers should not be, no child should be out in the parking lot selling candy bars. And so that's something that should be, the parents are usually there when I see them, they're up there by the doorways, they're not out in the parking lot. So, that's one thing. I know that children, I've taught for many years, and that's one of the things the schools always say is always be with your parents to do the wise thing, and they shouldn't be going out by themselves, going door to door. They shouldn't be, I just want to state that for all the kids out there, they shouldn't be out in parking lots trying to sell candy bars. But
So then again, at this point, if we could, Madam Mayor, then maybe the best course of action would be to continue this item until the December 8th meeting, so that we don't need to go to the expense of re-advertising the public
Okay.
hearing.
Good.
And the public meeting and introduction. So this would be a continuance of this item to December the 8th, if that's appropriate.
December the 8th?
I'll withdraw my
And
motion.
then, okay, we continue the item to December 8th, but then don't you say you also wanted to have the people, that was, I think, Joe's motion, was to make sure that your second recommendation was included.
Well, staff has got a list of the items that were brought forward
So
tonight.
it's-
We'll-
I'm fine with.
Okay, so it would be
Carrying
included.
it over.
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Rivero to continue we have a second by Mr. Bergman. Do we have any other?
That's my motion to continue.
Yes, Right. Okay, call for the question.
Joe Rivero?
Yes.
Mooneyham?
Yes.
Bergman?
Yes.
Jeff Rivero?
Yes.
Fall?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, I'm going to make a real quick recess, so don't go very far, please.
Almost done.
All right, buddy.
I'm gonna let the mayor know right now.
Good, thank you, sir.
Mayor. Just had a quiet.
No, I can imagine. I went to Keys not that long ago to get to, I never heard of Keys. And all of a sudden I see Keys everywhere. So we gotta kind of contain it. It's like that moment. You're fine. I get up, I gotta get shoes.
You couldn't catch her back then.
Thank you.
You gave us a dog. You can actually sit on the bench if you want. Congratulations on your.
So as soon as they get back in session. I'm just gonna bring it out.
Pretty crazy.
Just need about 2 or 3 feet.
Pretty passionate.
Oh, yeah, over the shoulder. I like to agree with it.
I can't leave her bike for 5 minutes.
Archer open for 5 seconds.
Ma'am, you're gonna have to back up a little bit.
Linder. Did you see Stacy's email? Stacy's email?
Yeah, I did.
Do you think we could get an auditor's reading? I mean, just explain the whole situation.
So when I talked, he was saying, he can assist us with the questions. And if you want an issue, something saying like, something else, then we can charge extra. I don't.
Based on their conversations with the auditor, I just think we need to explain the whole situation to the auditor. Other cities do this.
Right.
One thing. Dang.
Cafeteria plan.
Right, so we will talk about this on Wednesday. but-
Always wanted to be me, now he is. Watch out.
Like
He tried to make it look like
then we say, retirees are sending a check.
Don't worry, I put up with him all the time.
We're just reimbursing them, then we don't.
Bye, Mom.
Let's go, please. Call the meeting back to order. Item city attorney reports, item number 18.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I was asked to look into the potential for establishing campaign limits and restrictions for Atwater City Council candidates and elected officials. In our research on this, we've looked at a number of cities throughout the valley. As you know, California has approximately 500 cities, and about 10% of those cities have adopted some form of campaign limits at the local level. And sometimes that includes, they come really in three varieties: an absolute limit on the amount anybody can donate to a candidate, a requirement that campaign contributions over a certain limit require disclosure and recusal of the member to whom the contribution has been given in a given situation, and then the requirement for just mere disclosure alone. So that's the three varieties of ordinances that you'll see if you look at the approximately 80 to 100 or so cities and counties that have adopted local limits. What I would suggest, and this sounds like a broken record tonight, but in view of new elected officials coming on board, is that a subcommittee of the council be formed, perhaps with some assistance from my office and city staff, to look into those three different options to decide on a direction that they may want to or may not want to bring forward to the new council, to establish local limits that would go over and above those set by state law. As you know, and I've discussed at previous meetings, we are subject to the provisions of state law in this area, but local campaign limits are also possible that go in a more restrictive direction than what state law currently provides. So rather than guessing at what this council or what a future council might want, I think it's better to get those elected officials and the staff together, see what the public is telling them, see what the public tells us as we go through that process, and then decide what the appropriate course of action is. So happy to answer any questions about that process or what our recommendation is, but then take the council's input as well.
Okay, do we have any questions? Or Mr. Mooneyham had to leave. He had, so he's asked that he had major problems that he had to deal with. So anyway, he had to leave. So we make a point. Thank you. That's why we have the city clerk to keep us in law. Okay, questions of the city attorney in regards to the amount of monetary limitations. Councilman Bergman.
So you did some research with local cities. Do you have the information on what they allow and
Yeah,
such?
for example, the city of Merced has a limit of on campaign contributions that can be made to individual council candidates. I think it's $250 if it's at a person, from a person. I think it's a different amount if it's from a political entity of like a PAC or the like. The city of Livermore has a similar provision as we looked at them. Most of the cities, or I should say a disproportionate number of the cities that have these kinds of limits are charter cities. As you know, Atwater is not a charter city, it's a general law city. But the authority of general law cities to have these limits is pretty well established as well. There are probably more cities that fall into the if a certain contribution limit is exceeded, then the person that receives that contribution is recused from voting on a matter that's brought forward that might involve the donor of that contribution. So they come in all different varieties and different dollar amounts, and we could summarize the majority of those for the council and the committee if we decide to form a committee and pursue this in any significant way. Give you the range of contribution limits. I've seen some as low as 100, I've seen some at 1,000. And it just depends on the city and the size and, you know, the cost of the campaigns. What works for Los Angeles might be different than what works for Atwater or Ripon or whatever community that you're in. So, because it costs a lot more money to run in some jurisdictions than others. So, communities of this size, the limit is often in the $250 range for individual contributions and a higher limit for a political action committee or a group committee of donors.
It's higher. Do you have any idea? What is it, say, 1,500?
It's usually in the $1,000 range if
$1,000
if it's a larger community. But again, if the dollar amounts are of particular interest, we could do a summary of the size of the communities and the usual range.
You know, I really think we should, because, you know, to run a campaign is a very expensive thing to do. And your signs, the beautiful signs we had around, each one of those is very expensive. And I mean, we had a nice arrangement of them, we had a nice group of them, but I don't know how much money, you know, so if it just kind of depends on the type of campaign you want. If the city doesn't want to put forth and doesn't want to have signs up and that kind of thing, then I think the whole city should agree to that, and the voters should. But most of the voters figure if you don't have these signs and the yard signs and all of this sort of thing up, you really don't care about the position, or you think you've already won it so you don't have to put any money out for it. And or it helps you to get get your name out in the public, so the public becomes aware of you. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. Anybody else have thoughts? Councilman Bergman.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I definitely would like to see if you could come back with more information on the different options, I think this needs to be addressed. It's been discussed for quite some time, and I think it's time we do something about it. The only thing I would ask is we've already got a pretty full agenda for December with everything we've postponed now. We don't have any elections coming up in the near future. Is this something we could wait till January maybe to address? It definitely needs to be done, but I think if we wait till January or so we just don't overload ourselves on this next meeting, that'll give you some time.
We have some neat things going on, too.
Yeah, that'll give you some time to get some
Yeah.
some items together as well.
And I think perhaps when the new council comes on at the next meeting, if there is the desire to have some sort of a subcommittee of the council work on this, those members could be appointed at that time. And then we could develop a sort of a timeline for putting something together.
Okay, so okay, so does everybody get their questions and everything? Do we have a motion? I'll entertain a motion.
Well,
Mr. Bergman?
there's no motion to
We don't
make.
need a motion.
This is a
I'm
verbal
sorry, you're
report.
right.
Just an
so-
information item.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right.
So
My apology.
I would just like to ask, does this come back in January with some, maybe you're suggesting in December we discuss creating a committee?
Back in January.
I think that if there is in January.
2015.
We can do it in January as well,
Okay.
because there is a lot to do at the next meeting.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
All right, perfect.
Okay, item number, reports and presentations from staff. 19, approving an amendment to number 2, professional service agreement with FP&P Engineering relating to emergency engineering services for replacement of well number 20. Could you tell me where well number 20 is located?
Green Sands by the golf course.
Oh, Green Sands. Thank you. Mr. Shaw, please tell us.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. Yeah, this is a well that went down about 2 years ago. We've done a test hole. We found good water at about 500 feet. We've been holding off. We haven't had the funds to do the engineering or to drill the new well. But this year, we've got the funding to put that in, and we really need to get it done because we do have some wells that the level is dropping. And with the drought, we don't know how long it's going to last. So it's kind of a real important thing we need to get done as soon as possible.
Kind of on the verge of an emergency?
Yes, it is an emergency.
Okay, any questions? City Manager, Petro.
Brian, how many other wells do we have down besides that one?
We had well 9 go down a year ago of October, and well 6, it was been down about 5 years.
So we have 2 other wells on top of well 20 that are down completely?
Yes.
So we have
Thank you.
wells, okay, so well 6, and what was the other one down completely?
Well 6 and well 9.
Thank you. Councilman Jeff Favero.
So I was going to ask on the grants, have we gotten any further with Senator Canella's office or Adam Gray's?
I'm still working with, I don't have her name right in front of me, but yes, I'm still getting questions back. We're still working on trying to get some money from them.
And then federal, maybe we could talk to our supervisor-elect and see if maybe there's some federal funding for it.
Yes, I've had Lori, in fact, Lori Waterman, she's looked around too, and we haven't found any. We have a meeting sometime at the end of this month with an engineer that he finds grant money from federal and state to put in new wells.
Thank you.
So how are we funding this at the present time, sir?
We have funding in the capital improvement projects.
Capital improvement for water, right?
For well 20, yes.
Okay. Okay, capital improvement, okay. Councilman Joe Rivera.
Just one question. How much money is in capital improvements right now in that fund?
750,000.
750,000, thank you.
Yes, just for well 20.
All right.
And so we think we can get it done for 750,000, sir? Or we hope?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is just to approve for 35,000 to all the engineering for right now.
Right.
And
The
then,
35
then
is the
after they
engineering.
do the engineering, we'll have a better idea of what it's
Okay.
gonna cost to put it in.
Right. Okay, so this is only engineering.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? I'll entertain a motion then.
So moved.
Second.
Move to do what, sir?
Move to approve staff's recommendation as
Thank
presented.
you. Move to approve. Staff's recommendation. And who was the second? Was that Mr. Joe Rivero?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so Joe Rivero, second. Okay, any further discussion? Call for the question.
Jeff Rivero,
Yes.
Bergman,
Yes.
Joe Rivero,
Yes.
Fall,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Appreciate it. Okay, item number 20, update of the fiscal year that ended June 30, 2014, and fiscal year 2014-15 as of October 28, 2014. Financial Operations Manager Deal.
Thank you.
Oops, Councilman Joe Rivero, my apologies.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. I see only one of the elected officials here, and I think this is, if anything's on this agenda, it's very important as far as knowing where the situation of the city is and to have, for them to ask questions. Believe this is one that should be tabled for the next council meeting when they all come on, so they can all take a look at our fiscal situation and ask questions at that time.
Why not have her do it at that time also? Would be not, I'd like to know what's happening.
Well, okay, I'm just saying that, all right, we'll do it now, if you wish to.
I would appreciate it. 'cause-
Okay, all
yeah,
right. We can do it again, I suppose.
Yeah, what's the consensus of the rest? I think, I'd like to know what's happening.
I mean, it's a very time-consuming program, and I think it would be incumbent for the new council members to see it also.
Well, I
with
agree.
Councilman Joe Rivero. And right, to do it twice to me is rather redundant. 'Cause it is
Okay,
gonna
well,
take
that's all right with me. I just like to know what's going on. She can give me an individual report.
You'll be here.
Gives
I
me
will?
more practice, I guess.
Yeah, you could practice. Okay, so it's the if it's all right with you, and it's,
That's fine.
you're the lady.
I'm fine with
and,
holding back if
So
the
we
other
can,
council
and
members
it's
wish
city
to.
manager, is it all right with you?
Madam Mayor, it's fine. We are going to start a new program with the new council, and our finance manager will be giving presentations probably at every other meeting, or if not every meeting. So, Laquinda, you can do it now if the council approves, or we can wait till
practice.
December 8th. It's totally up to whatever the council wants, but you're going to be given monthly, if not bi-monthly, reports to the council, starting December 8th.
It doesn't really matter to me as long as you have time.
Can you have a short version of it?
Sure, I can just go really quickly.
I'd like to know what's going on, so
Okay.
go, quick. 5
All right.
minutes.
Respectful Madam Mayor, members of City Council, so today I'll be presenting financial reports on our fiscal year 13-14 and of course fiscal year 14-15 as of October 28th, 2014. We will be going over budget overview.
Time out. Mayor Price, can you hear this young lady? Okay, great. He can hear you.
Okay, good. So we will be going over fiscal year 13-14, fiscal year 15, and the challenges we have ahead. For fiscal year 13-14, we adopted the budget on June 24th, 2013. We had 60 days accrual period. Then, of course, our financial statement audit is pending right now. We are planning to have it done by hopefully December. Then fiscal year 15, we adopted that budget on June 23rd, 2014, and regular updates to City Council will be provided. Used to be it was quarterly, but we can do it monthly as well. We do have Audit and Finance Committee meeting, which we hold every month. During that meeting, we do provide financial updates every month. So general fund revenue contains following categories. So main ones are intergovernmental, property taxes, sales tax, and admin fees. Our expenditures contain basically I categorized in 7 different departments. So the major ones are police and fire. For general fund operating position, you can tell it doesn't look that good. We are basically budgeted our balance with only surplus of $11,000 for fiscal year 14-15, and we ended our fiscal year 13-14 with $232,000 surplus. Right here. So the general fund status, it doesn't look that good. Our expenditures and revenue, they are basically equal, so there is no surplus. So go ahead, Matt.
So basically, we haven't gone down. I mean, we're staying status quo, right?
So far.
So far, okay. That's the key.
Right, so we are planning, our minimum target fund budget is about 1.67 million. We should have that. But as you can see, our general fund balance is going down every year. So fiscal year 13-14, we ended it with negative 3.1 million. For fiscal year 13-14, we collected revenue
Okay,
of...
let me stop, because everybody really wants to go. They don't want to hear it again. And so I just wanted to make sure we're still above board. We haven't taken any, we're still with our nose above water.
For general fund, for last year, we have a surplus of $232,000.
So gentlemen, I know you want to move on to the next. Okay, is there anything else that you want to? Joe Rivero, do you have any questions?
When you're talking about the general fund, $232,000, was any of that due to transfers that were paying back the general fund from the past?
No.
None of that was? Okay, do
No.
we have any debts in the future that we're gonna, where we owe other funds from the general fund?
No, we have debts from other funds, like for sewer fund, we do have those loans. Those will be paid back, starting payments next year, but nothing that I know for general fund.
Okay, so, and which accounts are paying those back? Is that just from the income from the sewer bond, or the fees?
Those are the fund enterprise accounts.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. So for fiscal year 13-14, we collected actual revenue of 12.1 million. Then our expenditures were 11.8, so we ended our year with 232 surplus. And we were projecting to have 93,000 surplus, so we did a little bit better than what we projected. So miscellaneous revenue and franchise tax, we collected more than what we anticipated, but all the other categories such as business license, property tax, sales tax, these ones we collected less than what we projected. So last year's budget, we had surplus of $93,000 according to our budget. So the actuals were 232,000 surplus, with the CAL FIRE deferred payment of 1.8 million. So we just basically estimated that amount of 1.8 million. So we don't have the exact number for CAL FIRE yet.
Councilman Joe Rivero?
So that, when you're talking about deferred payment, is that from the deferred payments in the past, or the?
It's for fiscal year 13-14.
For 13-14.
Right.
Okay.
So far, we only made one payment to them, and that was $507,000.
Okay, and that payment came from the general fund?
General fund, yes.
So if we still owe more, that's still more, that's what I was getting at earlier. We still owe more from the general fund.
So we already counted 1.8, but if the payments are more than 1.8, then it's gonna affect our bottom number. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
But otherwise, we projected that it should be around 1.8 million. For the water enterprise fund, we budgeted our revenue 3.2, but we only collected $3 million. And same thing for the expenditures, we projected 3.1, then our actual expenditures were 3.1. So we did have a shortfall of $47,000 for water enterprise fund for that year. For sewer enterprise, we budgeted about 11 million for revenue, then we collected 10.9. Our expenditures were projected 10.5, but we had expenditures of 8.9, so we do have a surplus of 2.1 million on that fund. For sanitation, same thing, revenue was projected 3.3 and we collected 3.3. Then our expenditures were 3 million, but actual expenditures were 2.8. So we still have a surplus about 500,000. For this current year, fiscal year 14-15, as of October 28, 2014, so for this current year, we projected revenue of 11.1 and expenditures are 11.12, but then we only have surplus of $11,000. So far, as of October 28th, we collected about 18% of the revenue from budgeted revenue. Then about 30% of the budgeted expenditures we already incurred. It could be the timing that, expenditures are happening every month, but revenue, sometimes we collect, there's a lag for 2-3 months. For water enterprise, our projected revenue is 3.2. So far we collected 1.1. Expenditures are projected 3 million. So far we spent 800,000. So we still have a surplus of 0.3 million. For sewer enterprise fund, our revenue is 11.1. So far we collected 3.7. Then expenditures are 10.8, but so far we spent 1.3. So right now there is a surplus of 2.4, but that does not include that bond payment we made last month. Because the bond payment went out from the sewer asset account, so that entry we book end of the year to transfer those funds. So the actual balance would be that 2.4 minus that $2 million we made that payment. Sanitation, we projected our revenue for 3.5 million, and so far we collected 1.2. Expenditures are projected 2.8, and so far we spent about 900,000. So there is still a surplus of $0.3 million. Measure H is that 0.5% sales tax that went effective July 1st, 2013. And these funds are only used for public safety. So we are projecting revenue for 1.3 million for a Measure H. Then so far we collected 396,000. So these are few challenges we have since general fund doesn't have any reserves. It has negative balance. Then for COPS grant, good news is we did get awarded one grant last month. It's about $773,000 for 2 officers, and we just need few more grants like that. Then, of course, other funds has negative balance. That's a challenge too. So going forward, we will be monitoring our expenditures and revenues closely. And the next budget update will be provided in February 2015, but with the new council, we can make some different arrangements if we have to. Then during that meeting, I should have a status update on our audited financial statements, and we will do mid-year budget reviews as well. Any questions?
I just want to thank you very much and commend you for your outstanding service in the short period of time you've been with us. Thank you. Councilman Jeff Rivero.
I was going to ask on the sanitation, or the sewer, excuse me, on that fund, what is the total balance for that fund? Because
For
last, I think it was last meeting, it was 10 million.
for the cash side, right?
Yes.
Sorry, the treasurer's report wasn't packaged. For the sewer, we have $7 million.
$7 million. And how much is owed by the sanitation and water to the water treatment?
You mean for the loans?
Yes. How much are the paybacks?
I don't have the exact amount, but I know it's probably 6-7 million, including all those 3 loans.
So basically, that's between 16 and, what, you said 7 million? How much is owed to it, and what's the balance again?
But those bond payments are, I think those loan payments are for 5 years or 7 years, something like that. So the total amount I'm thinking is about 6-7 million, including all those loans. I don't know the exact number though. I can get that for you for next meeting.
It's 2.9% increase for the COLA?
No, it was only, sorry, it was in the last meeting, but I don't remember exactly. I think it was 2.75.
And how much are the loan payments coming in from the, what was borrowed?
I have to look that information. I don't have it right now, but I know it's starting July 2015.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Joe Rivero?
Yes, just one final question. When you're giving us the Water Enterprise Fund, are you also including the capital fund totals in there too, or?
No, these are just the enterprise fund.
Okay, so that was my question, and that's, when it's brought back again, I'd like to see also the totals in our capital
Okay,
funds.
usually those are provided on our treasury's report.
Okay.
So if you want to see it, I can bring it
Well,
back.
next meeting, you're coming, I would
Okay.
like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on to... Okay, moving on to City Council. I'm going to turn that one over. The first one, potential elimination of the sewer COLA, Mr. City Attorney Terpstra.
I think this is a request from Councilmember Rivero, and I'll let him.
We don't have the numbers, so why even talk about it? So just forget it.
Sounds good to me. Okay, moving on to item number, comments and requests for future agenda items, and we'll start with Jeff Rivero. First of all, before I let you speak, I just want to thank you very much for your service to our community and your service as 4 years on the council, and thank you.
You're welcome. First, I'd like to remind everybody at Veterans Park at 4 o'clock tomorrow, we'll be having our Veterans Day dedication. If you haven't bought a brick yet, it's too late for this year, but you can always, we can order.
2015.
Always put it on there. could you let, I don't know if it was Pat or Dan, Parks and Rec, or if it was Pat Flo, whoever had the name tags replaced, the ones that were missing, we appreciate that.
Thank you.
And then I was going to ask the city manager if you could place on the agenda for next meeting, city council meeting twice a month, and also have Parks and Recreation and Traffic Commission for discussion and possible action.
Going back to the three committees again?
Yes.
Okay. Is that it, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Bergman?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to, at this time, just give my heartfelt thanks to Councilman Jeff Rivero, Mayor Pro Tem Craig Mooneyham, and Mayor Fall for the last 2 years. It's been an honor to work with you. We haven't always been on the same side, but we've had spirited debates, but...
Known as democracy, isn't it?
But yes, it is. And I just want to let you know I've enjoyed the last 2 years, and thank you very much for your service, and I enjoyed working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Joe Rivero.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to begin tonight by thanking Mr. Derby and all the employees of the Atwater Times for 50 years of outstanding publishing. I attended their celebration. It was wonderful. I just want to say this about your paper. You guys have done an outstanding job when it's come to community interest. Whenever we have kids in events, you guys cover that. If there's special things, whether it's from groups, society, or special little fundraisers and stuff, you guys cover it, and it really shows the character of the community from all the things that you cover. So I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate that, and congratulations once again for 50 years of publishing, and good luck in the next 50 years. And then I'd like to also congratulate the council member-elect Mr. Vineyard and Councilman-elect Mr. Raymond. We'll be hopefully working together, seeing this city forward. It's a wonderful community, and also congratulations to Mayor-elect Mr. Price. And then I'd also like to say it's been a pleasure working with, at times, and sometimes not at times, but working with this council to try to see things through. We haven't always seen eye to eye on the ways to come about it, but that's part of the democracy, and everybody has their ways to go about solving issues. I want to thank Jeff Rivero especially for working with me, and I'll say you did the majority of the work on the solar, and that's helping the city out with approximately $9 million into the future of savings. So I want to thank you for that. You know, working with my brother, we don't always get along all the time, see eye to eye and everything, but I appreciated working, and I was happy working with you. And Mom would have been proud of us too. Okay, so congratulations there. And with that, thank you.
Okay. I too would like to thank Mayor Pro Tem Mooneyham and Councilman Jeff Rivero for all of their wonderful work and contribution to the community. And I too would like to congratulate our new council persons, Mr. Vineyard and Mr. Raymond, and our new mayor, Mr. Price. And I just want to thank everyone for the election. And I think one of the neat things I thought this time was we had 3 newbies that ran. You know, normally they complain about we don't have any new blood. This year we did, and it was wonderful. And Mr. Barkman and Mr. Echeberry, and so wonderful. And which one? Isn't there another one I'm missing? But anyway, I just thought it was wonderful. We got new people out and are working. And with that, we have to have our political signs down by November 14th. So please remember that all political signs have to be down by November 14th. And Again, I want to invite you all to come to the program tomorrow at 4 o'clock in Veterans Park, and meeting is adjourned. Oh, that's right, you got to take our picture. Mooneyham's gone. Why didn't you say recess so we could get Mooneyham? We can do it next time. And we